Does winning just happen in a single moment?
They're Overwatch League champions!
No, it's an entire journey to get to the peak. All the years of preparation, hard work, grinding have led you to this moment. But now, there's one last step to get to that glory. Because this time, if you want to take the crown, you'll have to come and get it.
That's an incredible play! No one can stop him!
Oh my goodness!
You got to be joking!
All that matters now is closing that distance and turning your dreams into reality. You push through the challenges, defy the odds.
You've got to be kidding me!
What in the world?
You've come this far. You want this. Come and take it.
Four teams remaining in the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs, and only one can be the champion. Only one can fill up the 2021 banner that we're seeing before us. We're going to be deciding, getting very close to it at the end of today, of course, culminating to our grand finals taking place tomorrow, and you know you're not going to want to miss that, but it's bound to be jam-packed, honestly, all the way through, starting with this first matchup, the San Francisco Shock versus the Atlanta Reign. Two teams been battling against each other all season long as well. This kind of rivalry, it's been there, it's been present all the way back since 2019.
And if we want to talk about 2019 just for a moment here, Bren, the San Francisco Shock lose in the first round and run it back through the lower bracket. The details are a little different, but don't focus on the details. Just drink in the hopium. And I can tell by that fan vote that the desk were looking at, the people are drinking it up.
Sure.
They believe in San Francisco running the salty run back all the way through the lower bracket, but they have another team before them today, and they have been better over the course of this season. The Atlanta Reign are a fierce opponent.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the Atlanta Reign, going off the analyst desk as well, all of them, including the Turtle, expecting the Atlanta Reign as well to win this one out. I mean, it was so one-sided in terms of their approach to this match. I think it's going to be much closer than that as well, and I'm very excited to get it under the way as well. This clash of styles that's been between a lot of these teams as well. These two teams are actually quite similar in a lot of ways and a lot of fashions. It's one of the first times we'll see it. So let's introduce our first team in this matchup, the San Francisco Shock.
The Shock are starting to feel it a little bit now, Mitch. They're starting to play that aggressive style and play aggressive as a unit.
Crack back again. This is 2020 Shock. This is championship winning Shock.
Smurf, what a performance! The primal rage of 2 kills.
Joy Yobin, what is that?
The Shock, this could be their tournament to ascend back to previous form.
While again living the life of the DPS player on the Baptiste, they look extremely well oiled.
Oh, you madman!
That is ridiculous! That is actually ridiculous! You have got to be joking.
The Shock are ready to rumble and they're already rocking the socket.
For the San Francisco Shock, they're looking to keep that three-peat dream alive. They've had 2 championships under their belts as well. This will be the 3rd that they're looking to try and claim. But of course, one team standing in their way for now. They're going to be going up against it. If you're the San Francisco Shock, you are just taking it one match at a time. You've got to focus on it from that kind of perspective. More than capable of it with the talent they've got here.
It's hard to overstate just how ridiculous it would be if San Francisco were able to win 3 in a row. It would just be beyond belief. And the 3 players you see in the middle there, Super, Choyobin, Violet, they know the taste of victory. They've lifted that trophy twice before. And the Glister, Nero, FD got a new additions to this team that added a level of hunger, but also a level of inexperience that some might argue held them back at various times throughout the year. But here in the playoffs, they are performing up to the San Francisco Shock level. This team, this starting 6, is looking fierce.
It's not going to be easy for them in this matchup today. They're up against some opponents that have bested them before in the past. It's the Atlanta Reign. The Atlanta Reign, cool, calm, and collected, answering back with pick after pick. Atlanta Reign with some absurd DPS performances. Gator lays down the shadow. That is beautiful. Oh!
It's like, okay, well, Pelican's down, time to step up, I guess. Headshot after headshot after headshot.
Stunning defensive work.
Oh my goodness!
It's devastating how good Pelican is. Kai! He gets two!
What?
And Hawk with the self-destruct! The Atlanta Reign, they're looking straight at the top, Matthew.
And this Atlanta Reign is looking very different compared to the ones of previous years. Still a scrappy upstart group of players, but they've got a bit more discipline these days, and they've still got that firepower as well, that extra element that really gives them the edge in the form of their DPS line.
In the past, the Atlanta Reign, like you're saying, Brent, were known as the team that had amazing DPS players, but they just couldn't quite put it together. And yeah, maybe they'd be able to make an upset, but not a lower bracket run like this. Not a playoffs run in general like this. The Atlanta Reign have managed to get into the top 4 because they are a team now. They're not just a collection of good players. They've had more experience together. Gator and Hawk are no longer a rookie tank line. Iris has been with the team for even longer and has started to develop into a seriously excellent Batiste. And they still have that incredible firepower coming from Kai and, of course, Pelican, the Rookie of the Year, who is going to be playing on low ping in this game because we're playing on North American servers.
Absolutely.
I forgot about that in their game against the Gladiators, but that is a crucial element to their chances of being able to make it through.
And they are dangerous. This is a team that's hungry. They've been denied many opportunities. I mean, they've been to Hawaii, I think, more than most teams in this league in this year
Tied
of the
for the
2021 season. And they really haven't achieved the heights that they were hoping for every single time. This is an opportunity, though, in this matchup right here, to upset the 2-time champions and take it even further beyond. Nepal is going to be our first map pick. It's the Atlanta Reign that actually get to select this as well.
Yeah, which is wild because they're our 5th seed playing against our 6th seed right now. Coming into yesterday, it had all been the higher seeds the entire way through the playoffs bracket. The postseason dominated by the favorites, and that's not the case here. We have our 5th playing against 6th. Historic rivalry, defending champions. There's a lot of pedigree, a lot of talent, a lot of experience in these two teams. And we're going to be starting things out on Nepal. Brent, it is a map which is going to allow for both of these teams to set the tempo early. Whichever team it feels that can get the edge early on in the Rhine matchup has the psychological advantage over the other.
Oh yeah, because you got to imagine as well, both these teams, they play similar styles. They like to play the same compositions, roughly speaking, as well. And this is a map where, okay, they're going to be mirroring each other in a lot of scenarios. You can see here, looks like we're leaning possibly over towards Village as the first section, and that's going to be seeing the Reinhardt, the May coming out as well. We will see this mirror matchup. If you win that out, you're going to be thinking at the back of your head the entire time. The rest of this series, if we get taken to a map that suits Rush, the Zombie Comp, whatever, we've got the advantage. We've got the edge. It doesn't matter what they pick. We should be favored in that.
These early maps, map 1 and map 2 in particular, really do dictate that psychological edge. If you feel like you can beat the other team in the mirror matchup, it dictates map selections later down the line and your confidence levels in terms of taking it in the future. Got some amazing matchups here, but it's the Rhine head-to-head that I'm looking at first of all. It's Gator against Super.
And Hawk has taken so much damage early on, but it's actually Glister who goes down first. No Immortality Field available for the Atlanta Reign. Super taking a lot of damage. You're going to see that Immortality Field is also using a defensive Maywall. Comes out from the San Francisco Shock to try and keep this one in it. But again, perfect Maywall placement there from Pelican. Locks out the San Francisco Shock as they try and make their retreat. They win out this battle initially.
The loss of Glister, you can't get past it. That's all of your damage output, or at least the majority of it. Iris has managed to generate a bit of an ult advantage here too, 80%. If he can get up to his ult in the next fight, the Amp Matrix could be pretty crucial, but the shot can just come back in here, take it relatively slowly. Nice Maywall to start from Nero.
And it's going to block off the teleport, actually. They retreat away. The Atlanta Reign are being chased down, though, and that's Kai missing from the fight now. The teleport, again, that wall, intentional. Trying to block off the teleport so they can't take it behind them. But with the Amp Matrix laid down, Violet free to just pepper them away as well, doing all that damage, just amplified up across the point. It's a quick and speedy teamfight win. The Mays really are on either side playing such an important role in these fights.
Yeah, and Pelican historically this season has got the better end of every other May that he's played against. Nero would be no exception to that. But it was a great wall there to try and block off the teleporter, but still, both Batiste's able to get up to their ultimate, and Violet is incredibly deadly. A huge pop to Iris, he's been playing well all season long, but Violet's the original Batiste goal.
Oh, wow, and Gator tries to go for the quick Little drop down into the Earth Shatter play, but Super, he wasn't born yesterday. It's 10,000 hours of ranked experience you're witnessing right there, but is it enough to watch this? Choi Hilbin, what an eat! He plucks up the Blizzard. A major ultimate that's going to be missing for them, and look at that, Violet. Perfect with the placement of that one. The Immortality Field to save him in the midst of all of it. Super lays down the Shatter. It sets them up nicely for this team fight win. Now Super, 4 HP to his name, is going to go down in the end, traded out, as no one's really dealt with Massa this entire time. He's been hanging out the back, and look at this. They're going to be committing the beat into this. They seem to think this is winnable. With FD God falling, it might just be so. Still, that wall does block away Kai from following up on any sort of damage that's being done, and it's really a wasted ultimate. Despite that, the Atlanta Reign still want to take this fight, but with Kai gone on top of it, the spawn is coming back in from the shock. It looks futile.
Amazing Maywall by Nero to stop Kai from getting in on that fight. It seems crazy that Massa committed sound barrier to that, but genuinely, if Kai with a sound barrier had been able to get to the objective, he would have cleaned up. The sim is that dangerous when you get them into close quarters. So Nero's ice wall just completely separating him away and avoiding that clutch potential wins the shock of the fight, and now they're up to 80%.
Atlanta Reign drop down again. So FD goes just scouting, making sure that nobody comes from any other angles that they're looking for, but it's a quick wraparound into the Matrix. Speed boost as well, the wall blocking them. It's going to be a beat. FD God wants to use it to try and save their team. The Immortality Field's also traded out from this one, and what a self-destruct. Hawk just sets it down. The Shock really had no answer for that one. They ended up using a lot of tools at their disposal just to try and initiate onto them. They lose the team fight as a result, but they do get 99% in the progress.
Great credit there to Gator as well. He lands a shatter that knocks 2 players down, sets up Hawk for the double kill, and then FD God's just in the mix anyway to give Hawk the triple. That was absolutely necessary for the Reign, and now they're going to hold forwards. Looks like they're trying to get a DMEC onto Choyobin here so that Pelican get value out of his Blizzard. Playing around that defense matrix just a little bit there. FD got isolated though, surely gets punished.
No,
oh, he does.
Goodness. It just about goes down here. They've already teleported as well. They're going to be breaking their ankles at this one, straight up onto the bridge, but Choi is frozen up. They don't have this speed boost to disengage with FD God going down, but they're still committing the ultimates anyway. In fact, they flipped the point over. They can't approach it. Pelican from the back, they've already lost the 2 players now. Are they going to have to try and commit ults? You're going to hold on to them. You realize the fight's over. They're still going to be making it difficult for them, though, as FD God does come in later into this fight.
That was very cheap, though, Brent.
It was.
The Shock lost that team fight, and Atlanta didn't even have to pay that much for it. I thought that they were going to look for the Blizzard as soon as Choyobin got frozen up and taken out of mech, but they didn't even invest that. They just found picks all over the place as soon as FD God was isolated. All of that pressure in the choke point, forcing out a mistake from Shock's Lucio, who's played fantastically so far in the postseason. This now puts an enormous amount of pressure on this final fight.
Yeah, Lance Reign, look at that. 2 support elements to their name. We need to see some big plays of the Shock are going to be coming back into this one. Otherwise, it's the Atlanta Reign who are walking away with it. The Earth Shatter off to the side. Gator doesn't find anybody else. It's going to be the freeze, and what a shatter from Super. So many players down. It forces out the sound barrier early on, but the Blizzard, it's locked them all up. The Shock, that's such an ultimate disadvantage. It doesn't even matter for them. They work around it. The overtime is going to start ticking, but no one from the Atlanta Reign able to touch that one. What a miraculous series of events for them to be able to take round number 1.
They call him the finisher because he lands stuff like that and closes out the rounds. That was absurd.
They needed that.
That was absurd from Super. What a play. What was that, a 4-man shatter at the perfect time after blocking Gator's shatter as well. They came around the side of Pelican's wall. Just a clutch individual ultimate. That's what you love to see in the Ryan v Ryan head-to-head. A little bit of NTD just flips it the tiniest bit in favor of the Shock there, and they're able to win a crucial fight. Take a look at the replay from his point of view here.
Look at this.
Look, the block on the shatter there comes through, backs off, he gets frozen up, that's why Gator doesn't expect it. And as soon as Super comes out of the freeze, he lands the 4-man shatter. Incredible play, and the timing just couldn't be more perfect.
Both these teams shaking it off as now heading into this next round with the Shock leading. The Atlanta Reign have taken a bit of high ground control early. They don't want to push too far forwards as well. The threat of being booped right into the murky depths there is a little bit too much. They're just going to teleport straight to the point. Start to play it now. It's almost unlocked. Choi taking a lot of damage in the process. Look at this flank going on from Nero. He's down right underneath. They're trying to pincer them at the exact same time, and Choi, he's matched him as well. Right into the off angle, does end up getting taken out of the mech, but not before Gator's taken out as well. With Violet missing, could be dangerous tidings for the San Francisco Shock. Glister's still very powerful. He's got the beam, but no more heals. Both the supports are being taken out from the San Francisco Shock. They don't really have too much more to win this fight out with. If they're able to do it, it would be an absolute miracle for them, but the damage and healing is way better for the Atlanta Reign.
Iris was a crucial element there for Atlanta, being able to back off, read the flank as it came through, and both of the supports actually, because it was Massa that shut down the threat from Choyobin. Choyobin got walled off in a corner and taken out by the Lucio of all things, and Iris killed his counterpart, I believe. Violet hitting the deck early on meant no heals, no extra damage from the Shock. You can see that San Francisco have good ideas of how they want to break these aggressive holds from Atlanta, but that one didn't quite work.
Yeah, teleport up onto the opposite side. That's an Amp Matrix play. They're going for a split approach once more. The ice wall. Okay, well, it does block off that one ultimate, and now you see a committal coming through. Symbol from Kai to try and stop them, but that Blizzard, it's caught everybody. Is there enough damage, though? Nobody can get around the corner to take out the Immortality Field, and the Atlanta Reign are investing their own. Massa does have the beat. It starts to get committed, and now everyone is healthy. Gator right off the map. You're joking. 2 players gone. FD God wants to get into the action as well. A couple of environmental kills for them. The Shock are investing even more. They want to try and turn this fight in their favor. They're definitely getting the early pickoffs, and they got the flip of the objective. Not only that, it's time to build up the percentage points as well. They need to get rid of the teleport, which they do so. And this is an awkward fight.
It really was an awkward fight, but it was a lovely setup from the Shock. They pinned Atlanta Reign into a corner. Violet had an Amp Matrix that was peppering them from the high ground, and Nero landed a humongous Blizzard. There was a wild play in there from Gator. That's a block of the Shatter. It only catches onto Pelican. Gator has a response.
No way.
He goes for it again! The madman! It's exactly the same!
You have got to be kidding me. Gator just going for that one. Of course, sacrificing himself to take out the main tank. The 1-for-1 trade clearly has a lot of faith in his team to try and clean this up, but it's the Shock with the massive advantage. You can't look at that play and think it was good if you're going to be losing it at the end of the day, but it definitely does say that he's got a lot of confidence on his team to try and clean up.
Absolutely. Gator seems to think if he just takes the 1-for-1 trade, his team will be at an advantage, but that is not the way the last 2 team fights have played out. The Shock are now at 70%. They don't have any major ultimates, though. The Reign, if they can get in a good position, perhaps use the Symmetra Wall to take space early and set up for an Amp Matrix, they could teleport into a nicer high ground position, but the Shock are controlling all of the major areas. There isn't a great sideline for Iris to use his ult through, unless they rotate around to the stairs.
The wall comes down.
This is still pretty good.
Yeah, the Shock is still going to be taking a lot of damage from this, though. They're split from multiple different angles. Going indoors, giving the Atlanta Reign a lot of space, but with Violet falling.
Great pick.
Yeah, that looks like it should be theirs to take.
And just in the nick of time as well. Atlanta are going to maintain, or rather regain, control of the objective. They build up some nice ults too. They've got a Blizzard and a Sound Barrier that they're going to get in the midst of this next team fight. And so for the Shock, they need to navigate this. The defending team has such an advantage if you can pen them into choke points, but that's why so many teams play with Symmetra right now, because it allows you to get past the chokes. So Atlanta are not going for one of their forward holds. Normally a very aggressive team, but they're looking more reactive right now.
Yeah. Going to try and take the point. Take the fight on the point as well. Earth Shatter in hand for Gator. He wants to try and get the better of his adversary. Drops it down. That is going to be a connection. So at least a few targets there, but the Amp Matrix in response. No more Mentality Field, and look at that Blizzard. Great spacing from them. Pelican able to just drop that one down, and despite FD God able to take away at least one pick with him before he gets out of there, it is a clean team fight win for the Atlanta Reign.
That's the advantage of being on defense. You can set up for those big ultimates. That Blizzard got major value from Pelican. Nero's going to find it incredibly difficult to do the same. FD God's currently getting pressure.
Wait,
they're already back
the supports aren't there. Yeah, the Shock are playing this so quickly. Intelligent from them, knowing that the support line was actually just going to be ferrying them back, and now it's overtime. The Atlanta Reign.
How did they get in that quick?
They might have just lost the one team fight they needed to win. I cannot believe they made that call, but they're just going to dump the ultimates in anyway. It's a last chance for them, but not enough. The San Francisco Shock, in a dominant fashion, they win it out in just 2 rounds.
If you blink, you would miss it. Well, our observers were watching Massa taxiing people back from spawn.
Super. I mean, I can't lip read. but if I could, I don't think I could say it on broadcast. I mean, that was...
Talking his trash.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was wondering what they were doing with that maneuver, but the Atlanta Rain, I think they lost track of the timings in terms of how fast the Shock were able to respond to that.
I'm going to be honest, Brent, I lost track of the timings as well. I really thought that the Atlanta Rain had enough time to be able to get back in that team fight. I was amazed when we flicked back to the free cam, and there was the Shock just on the point.
They just won it.
Yeah, they had already won the team fight. One of the big problems there is that the Atlanta Rain don't all back off. If you're taxiing people back from spawn, you need to give space. And they took 2 fights on 2 fronts. Wild stuff, though, to finish the first map.
Okay, well, map number 1, that was absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to be finding out just how crazy this series can really get. On the other side of this break, ladies and gentlemen, remember, it is still the elimination match. The loser of this one will be going home. Everything to play for in the 2021 playoffs. And you know you don't want to miss a single second of it. We'll see you in just a few.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Who's that tank? It's Gator! Gator, part of that original GOATS team that created the triple tank, triple support composition. If you give this guy his comfort roles, he's a top tier main tank.
I mean, the picks are coming through, and that's Gator. 2 kills with 1 fire strike. You love to see it.
Look how phenomenally good that pull was from Gator.
Oh, yes! What is that?
Amazing play by Gator. Again, he's having the game of his life right now.
That is huge.
Gator's Orisa is excellent. Gator is having the game of his life. He's actually having a life game. Gator, so comfortable on this hero. They allowed Monk and Eviltal to survive into this. If this turns around in favor of Chengdu, that is the crucial element.
Gator slams it down. The old 1-2 combo. Of course it's going to come up with the goods. Gator's going to be pleased with that one. Gator dropping a bag as well. That is just disrespectful, but you'd expect nothing less from the Atlanta Reign.
What a push from the Atlanta Reign. That's crazy.
For the Atlanta Reign to have a comeback occurring here, I should say. Currently leading the series, the San Francisco Shock 1-0. They're going to need a little bit more out of Gator, because from that last map, well, I mean, there were some plays in there. You could think of it as 200 IQ if they worked, 0 IQ if they didn't, and they didn't work.
Yeah, you're referring to the double pins into the pit.
Into the drink, yeah.
And it got shouted a couple of times as well, but I think the most important thing is to have a short memory, to brush it off and still have confidence in yourself. We've seen excellent stuff from Gator in the past. We know he's an incredible Reinhardt player in particular. And as both teams keep the same squads in here, I'm expecting more of that Rein head-to-head. I said that the first map would be important for establishing a psychological advantage, but I think it's more so the first 2 maps, honestly. At that point, if you're down, well, then you have to start scrambling. If you've managed to make it 1-1, you can still feel confident in the mirror. And as we see the Atlanta Reign picking Hanamura, I think this map makes a lot of sense. The Atlanta Reign looked excellent when they beat the Gladiators playing this yesterday. They had so many different ideas of how they wanted to make the rush work, and we've seen Shock flounder when they played against the Dragons. And okay, that's the Dragons, but the Shock themselves looked like they didn't have a great plan running the zombie comp on this map. So I'm wondering, are they going to opt into a rush mirror? Are we going to see something different? One thing's for sure, though, I would favor Atlanta coming into this.
Yeah, it is their map pick. On paper as well, we've seen, like you said, you know, the Shock, they've looked weak on this, and you want to be brushing off that initial map that we just witnessed as well. Coming back into this, if you can get a strong lead, not even lead, but evening up this series would be the ideal scenario, because it keeps you in the game, like you were saying, mentally wondering, okay, well, was it just, you know, us making a minor few mistakes that we can fix up for this next match, or are we really going to have to start scrambling for something new? This is going to decide all of it.
The Shock are running a rush defense here. I think this plays into the Atlanta Reign's hands. It was Massa who said in an interview with Upcomer before the playoffs began, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but he said, we're in a good place if we get to play against more NA teams in the playoffs, because we've practiced against them more. The Atlanta Reign understands how the NA teams play. They're not very good in that matchup against the APAC teams most of the time. They've struggled a bit against Chengdu, against Dragons, those kind of teams. But Atlanta are very good stylistically, and I think they understand how to play into these teams like Shock, like Dallas, like Gladiators, etc. And here they are on the attack. Teleporter up to that miniature high ground, allows them to drop down, and they're looking for a player to try and isolate, whilst keeping Hawk on an off angle.
Now the Atlanta Reign just trying to posture work their way onto the point as well, waiting for the right timings. It's going to be a quick teleport though from the Shock. They're going to be moving all the way up to the high ground. It's a disengage away from them, and what a collapse! All that damage being done. Hawk, I think, with the accretion as well, just stunning them up as they try to dive onto them. That's the Atlanta Reign with a great response.
They were so ready. It's hard to overstate how ready they were for that. Hawk was on that high ground just as bait, and as soon as the Shock teleport went up, Hawk drops down, primes the accretion, there's a boop as well to scatter the Shock players, and the Atlanta Reign collapse upon them. I mean, that is a 6-minute time bank heading into point B. Look at this. Hawk drops down, so much damage flooding into them, accretion as well.
Oh, it connects onto so many.
They get rid of the immortality field instantly. I mean, the Atlanta Reign read them like a book.
That's what you need. Now they've got a ton of time to work with. Like you said, it was like 6 minutes. And what is this play from the Shock? Up on the high ground, Super and Nero with the teleport.
It almost looks like they want to go for a pin play or something.
Yeah, something possibly with the wall as well, just to drop down on them.
I mean, Violet is in the opposite high ground position, and he has an amp matrix, so he's going to be able to do a lot of damage.
Here we go. They mistime it. The TP ends up used. They're actually going to cut the angle completely, but Kai will fall. Nero gets that one. It's a split fight right now. Typically, these compositions, they want to play close together, compact as a unit, but for now, it's playing all over the bloody shop. The Shock and quite low. That's a good block of the Shadow, though. Super ready with the reaction times. Gator not going to be getting away with that one. They are slowly winning this one out. Violet's going to end up going down, but with the spawn point at least being so close here for the San Francisco Shock, they are happy to take these even trades in this team fight.
And the Shock didn't even have to use any of their ultimate back. So now they're heading up to 6 ults to start to defend and whittle away this time for the Atlanta Reign. Not that it was expensive for the Reign either. They just threw a Shatter in there to see if they could turn it around halfway through. But they've got to be wary now of crazy plays that Super's going to make. That wall with Super dropping into it was a clear counterplay to the teleport coming out from Kai. And I'm sure Shock have more than one up their sleeve.
Yeah, a lot of ults available to them. Hawk does have this Gravitic Flux as well. TP straight to the point. There's only the one player. That's a teleport gone. Down and out. The Blizzard actually just dropped down as well at the choke point to try and lock them up. That's going to be a lot of ultimates committed, though. The Atlanta Reign still just chucking everything into it. The Blizzard was aided by Choi at the same time of things, but with Nero falling, it's ideal for the Atlanta Reign if they can just keep holding on.
Good Shatter!
What a Shatter from Super! Completely locks them up. The Atlanta Reign just unable to really participate whatsoever at the tail end of this team fight. And a couple of players left standing as well. There are so many mind games that are occurring between both of these teams. It's clear that they are, at least they've got a very good grasp on how both teams like to play these rush compositions, either through scrims or whatnot. It seems like they are aware of the tendencies to teleporters as well.
Yeah.
Both teams are, they've concocted like these set plays to disrupt it.
Yeah, and just to speak about the one that happened there, as Kai goes for the teleport, Pelican goes through it, but there's a Blizzard comes out from Nero that denies the rest of his team. So the Shock are trying to use their ults to proactively disrupt what the Atlanta Reign are going for. But the Shock don't really have any good ults left, so they've got to try and go aggressive. They forced out Immortality Field early.
Oh, Super's in trouble! What a Shatter! He drops it down, and it gets them all low. He will trade with his life at the end of the day, but San Francisco Shock more than ready to follow up on what he's just done there.
Super's crazy!
I can't believe that.
He's got another Shatter in that team fight, Brent. He's playing so aggressively as the Atlanta Reign come in, but they might have overextended a little bit here. Atlanta don't have their full 6 remaining, but they are going to try and commit to this fight.
The Atlanta Reign have got the Sim to split this one up. San Francisco Shock are going to be regrouping for just a moment. That's a self-destruct off to the side, and it does get the D-Mech out of Hawk. Not going to have that for this next team fight. Out of Symbol from the Shock as well. They're getting the spawners back out short. Troy is down. Soundbar as well to leak this one forwards. They're getting all the kills now that they could possibly need. Super down to the remake kill.
Dunked.
And no one's dealing with Iris. Impeccable timing there with the Mortality Field just to keep the team up and running. The Shock are committing the ultimates. Of course, FD God wants to try and keep them back into us. They've got to try and stall this one. But already almost 2 ticks gained. The Atlanta Reign have got a lot of firepower right now. All the players alive. They chase down Glister, moving over to the Doomfist. It's a bit of a desperation play from them. Hawk now using his self-destruct as well, just so he can try and get back into the mech and back into the fight with Choi going down. On top of it, the Shock really just tossing the bodies into it, but the ultimates just keep coming back up for the Atlanta Reign.
Kai and Iris in particular just continue to do damage and healing throughout it all. This is Glister's second foray in with that Doom. Are the Shock actually turning
this?
There's
no way.
Violet killed Iris!
There's
Violet
no
killed
way!
Kai!
There's no way they're able to clutch this out! 97.1%. They've got to try and turn this one. It's a charge from Gator. He has the Earth Shatter. They're looking to try and close this one out right here, right now. Pushing them away into the corner. The Earth Shatter, it is a connection onto one, but the Atlanta Reign, they invest that sound barrier into it as well. Still stunned up around the corner. Get a very, very low. Immortality Field dropped into the self-destruct, the teleporter to try and get them back into the action. The Shock, that is a self-destruct kill onto Nero. Coming back in, but the Shock have the spawners. Shield being held. They do not want to give this one up. FD God coming back, and he has the beat, but he dies with it. No beat in action. The turret takes him out. The Atlanta Reign, that one singular play may have just saved them here, and it has. They get the capture. 58 seconds online, but looking so dangerous.
That was a truly unbelievable fight. I cannot believe what we witnessed there. The fact it started with the Rain capitalizing on a shock overextension, and he pushes back. They push back in with less than their 6 players available and just take all of that space, and then insane clutches, especially from Violet on the San Francisco Shock, to be able to take down Iris, who was just pumping out constant damage, constant heals. And it really did look like Shock were going to turn it if FD God had not died to that sim turret. And there are mistakes flying all over the place in such a hype and tense situation.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think I think the Shock can frankly be happy that they got it under the minute mark. If they manage to complete, even if it's in overtime, they're going to be good. I'm amazed that FD God even got up to a beat here.
Yeah, the fact... okay.
He has to go for it.
It was a defining moment that could have saved the Shock there. But like you said, they're lucky they even got it to 58 seconds.
And frankly,
they should have lost that at least over a minute ago.
If you look at FD God's play there, what's he supposed to do? Die with it and then try and come back 10 seconds later? They've already lost.
No,
they've already lost as soon if he dies in that instant. So it's low risk because you've lost either way if you don't press the Q button. And it's high reward if you manage to get it off.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Shock on attack. They're going to run the zombie comp here, so a bit of a deviation. The Atlanta Rain running a double shield defense. Huge amount of poke damage coming out from Kai and Pelican. We've seen this play before. The Shock have tons of mobility, though. They get through the choke without taking any damage.
The Shock are running this comp against the Atlanta Rain. Well, sorry, I should say against the Shanghai Dragons. They were getting chewed up pretty often. But that opening pick onto FD God, the Shock aren't going to have the speed boost now to work around here. Oh my goodness, they're all caught into the corner.
No.
The damage coming in. They're all so low. Surely the Atlanta Rain just collapse onto them here. They do.
Yeah,
cleaning them up.
Pelican's a beast in this defense. He constantly holds it off angles, and he's getting hardcore pocketed by Massa the entire time. So he's not particularly worried. He has the mobility to be able to escape if you try and pressure him. There's nothing the Shock can do to really pin him down. They don't have any long-range hit scan. They don't have any stuns. I suppose they could hack him if Glister can get in a position, but he's not normally going to be vulnerable.
No time to catch your breath with these compositions. I mean, the team fights are just getting rattled off one after the other. There's a coalescence build early, though. Violet wants to try and lead this one in with the team. A lot of healing going their way. Pelican, obviously, the amount of damage he did in that prior team fight, he's already built up that duplicate as an answer to it. They can get the D-Mech off onto him. It won't be too bad for them, but with Kai, that's a fantastic pick-off. Nero's taken out. A lot of the damage is going to be gone for them now. South the Shock dropped off as well. It means the Shocker can be split up, disjointed. This composition, again, it wants to play together. They're not able to do that.
Yeah, the Shock, I really don't know what the win condition here is for the Shock. It's got to be an enormous EMP, but the Atlanta Rain's composition plays so spread out, with Kai on one side of the map, Pelican and Massa on the other, Iris healing Hawk and Gator from distance because he's a Batiste, and everyone has good ultimates to try and zone them away. It is very hard for Glister to find a solo target, EMP them, and then the rest of the Shock to follow up without getting punished.
They're taking so much damage as well early on. Violet and FD got so low, the EMP, it only catches onto Massa.
And he already popped Valk.
And the Valkyrie's already popped. More than safe in this scenario. Gravitic Flux from Hawk. It's going to catch all of the players necessary to try and win this one out. And that is going to be the Shock as well, going right back to the drawing board. This zombie comp that they like to play, they got chewed up in the past. You can see Super did commit this Primal Rage. It got Iris, but...
Is that enough? The Shock's comp does
it.
play... Oh, yeah, of course they res it. I thought the res had been used earlier, actually. That was the only kill that they managed to generate in the middle of that fight. I mean, it is so difficult to crack this Atlanta Rain point A defense. And for the Shock, they just used all of their best ultimates. They used the EMP, they had Coalescence, they had Primal. It just feels unwinnable.
How do they win?
They'd have a better chance running a rush comp here and having Super on Rhine, I think. At least then you're able to get in the face of some of the Atlanta players and can survive a little longer. The Shock's current composition only has one burst of momentum as they use all of their engage abilities.
A minute remaining for the Shock. Dragon Strike to push them away, and Pelican, well, he's taking another off angle. The duplicate form as well onto the Diva. He's going to be building up that South Destruct so quickly. The beat dropped. FD God, they want to commit into this fight. They want to try and win this one out. And Nero, to be fair to him, hasn't gone down yet. With Gator taken out, they could potentially still win this one yet. Death Blossom in close quarters. That's Hawk removed from the fight. And they're all just kind of locked up indoors. The Shock looked like they found the edge they needed here to win out this fight, but still, yep, getting the tail end of these kills, the straggle kills. That's exactly what they need to make sure that the Atlanta Reign can't recontest.
Oh, right. Really good execution on that from Shock. They managed to find an opportunity to pressure down Gator and Hawk without getting disrupted by Pelican's duplicate. A lot of credit to the Shock for how they managed to make that one work. There was only 30 seconds left. That was their last opportunity. Otherwise, Hanamura would have fallen. Now Pelican moves over onto the Torbjorn.
Oh yeah, this is a very annoying pick for Glister. I mean, I love this Torbjorn adaptation coming out from the Atlanta Reign. They still have ultimates as well. Looking at this, the Gravitic Flux to get them chewed up when the San Francisco Shock attempt to try and push as well.
Yeah, Glister can get a great EMP in this position.
EMP, Coalescence, everyone jumping onto it. Glister ends up going down. They do get the one, the EMP. Connected onto Gator. It's locked up that one pick at least. Are they going to be able to disrupt any of this though as the Gravitic Flux gets off? It buys space for the res. Gator back into the action, and with Violet down, no more heals for them. Ultimate still committed though. The Shock. It's going to be the Primal Rage used, but Super realizes, well, it's not a winnable fight. Just got to exit out of this one.
Even with his Primal. And now the Shock do make adaptations. They're going over to a rush comp. I think this is a good idea actually. They're going to find it difficult in this first fight, navigating against a Supercharger, but once their ult cycle starts to go, and they still have 2 minutes, so multiple opportunities, the Shock should have a better chance than running that zombie comp. They can play it slightly more spread out, because Violet is playing Batiste rather than Moira. He's got that long-range damage, long-range heal opportunities. Moira doesn't have, but Kai, again with the first pick, takes down Glister. It's one thing to do it when the Sombra's right in front of your face. It's another thing when it's a long-range pick through a Reinhardt shield and a defense matrix. That one's gutting for the Shock because it ticks 30 seconds off the clock and they really haven't built up to any of their ults at all here. Violet is getting fed healing by Super just taking poke damage. So the first ult to come online that's going to be important is Violet's Amp Matrix.
Oh boy. Iris going to be using the Sand Matrix though. The Shock are already into their spawn side, flipping it around, positioning wise. Violet taken out though once more. And look at Kai, just sandwiched in at the spawn door, and the team, of course, are just going to be pincering them as all of this is going on. Hawk's not going to leave his man hanging. They just collapse onto it. The Shock, it feels like with the... Okay, they switch over to the rush composition, to be fair, but they are just getting stalled out so often, whether it's a pick from Kai or the ultimates being used, something, anything. Once the Atlanta Reign get this composition going with the ultimates, it's so difficult to try and break through.
It is, and that's a great reason why the Atlanta Reign went here. And now we start to see why it was so important that Shock tick this into underneath 1 minute for the Atlanta Reign's time back. If they can complete, even in overtime, they will still get one more opportunity to attack. But they've still got to make it work this time around. There was so much damage that went through to them there, and they have to contest against a Supercharger. This has to just be a disengage for the Shock. They can come back in with double support ult though.
They can't play this. Yeah, Pelican, he's got the duplicate form at least onto the Tracer. Will be able to build up the pulse bombs if he survives it out, but no, taken out of the form. Now that they've waited out these ultimates, it's the Shock's time to re-engage into this. The Amp Matrix dropped down. Pelican could not go anywhere. The flight cooldown, not quite there, just couldn't disengage away from the line of sight angles. FD God is going to be keeping his team alive, but now you see that Gravitic Flux used again. When he onto the one target, it was dropped away. Nero ended up using that ice block, and he is on a high ground position currently. Pelican back into the action though. Might be able to do a bit of damage for them, but at the Shock in this overtime push, they've got all the kills they need. The engagement was clean from them.
Yeah, especially the Amp Matrix. Violet doing so much work in that fight, and they capture it up in overtime.
Yeah,
and the only reason they're alive right now in Hanamura is because they got the Atlanta Reign time bank to 58 seconds. What a huge difference those 2 seconds makes.
And it could be critical as we head into this match. I mean, with the compositions that these teams like to play as well, a minute. The Shock's comp, honestly, when they're running the zombie comp, I guess, as well, what you want to call it, a Lucio Moira, if they can win that initial team fight off, which is where the comp typically ends up being strongest against the double shield, because the enemy team doesn't have ultimates, they don't get the pick that they need, it's snowballing, is all I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah.
It could really snowball into the Shock's control.
But it requires getting a good initial fight.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been struggling with so much. It's taken them 2, 3, 4 attempts just to get the right team fight. Like this, for example. An opening pick onto Iris is just so crucial. The Atlanta Reign had already lost a couple of players at this point, though. Really, the opener that I would highlight is Pelican staying in line of sight of Violet's Amp Matrix. He tried to dive away, but the Shock... He knew the Shock were coming in, and he knew that Violet had the ultimate. And he got punished for it. He got punished for hanging around too much, and it gave the Shock the opening they needed. Here, though, it all comes down to your point A, attack and defense. Atlanta have definitely been better, so Shock, their backs are still against the wall here.
Oh, yeah. The Atlanta Reign are looking at this and thinking, okay, this is our opportunity right now to bring this 1-1. Shock are going to be playing the rush composition. They actually teleport right up to the high ground.
I think it's a better idea.
It is a way better idea in terms of how they can take this first team fight off. They got to worry about Kaido. On the Hangzhou, this guy's been a menace to society, being able to find so many opening picks for them. So intelligent as well with the positioning.
I thought he got him
getting
there.
that arrow kill. Possibly Pelican getting quite low as well. Now the Shock looking for something, but Choi, he gets demeched. The Mortality Field dropped as well. The Shock, they're running out of ults to use, or at least the tools on top of it. Drop this Amp Matrix through, but the Atlanta Reign, well, they should win this one out. Kai will get removed from the fight towards the end. Only 13 seconds left for the Shock now to repush this one in. It doesn't look likely they're going to be able to touch this one, and the Atlanta Reign have got enough bodies, especially with that res online, that they do stop them from getting checkpoint A.
But Brent, it might have already been enough. 93.1% is what the Shock are going to end with, and I think that's fabulous compared to what you would expect. Their Lucio, Moira, Winston comps would never.
No, I mean...
and they look so much better as soon as they run the rush on point A. It forces the Atlanta Reign at least to give them ticks as they try and set up on complementary crossfire angles.
Yeah.
And it's not like Kai, Pelican, Gator want to contest the objective against a rush comp. You really can't. So just the added sustainability and the fact that Super can hang around with his shield up constantly, allowing the Shock to stay in positions instead of continue moving around the map. Just they can dominate the objective and tick the clock up. Atlanta are now the ones under pressure here. 2 minutes to essentially cap checkpoint A. There's not that much difference between 93 and fully captured.
Yeah, and a weird turn of events. I think the Atlanta Reign is still going to be feeling pretty good against their chances here. They had a really good read in terms of how to disrupt the Shock when they were playing these Lucio Moira comps. I mean, they've seen exactly the teams that they went up against and how they ended up besting them on Hanamura.
If we think about how the Atlanta Reign's attack worked last time, they teleported up onto the high ground. They left Hawk there on Sigma. The San Francisco Shock tried to punish that, and the Atlanta Reign read it completely. You know that the Shock are not going to do the same thing this time around. If Hawk's on that off angle, they'll just leave him there and they'll go for somewhere else. Choyobin's through, gets the scouting. They realize they're playing the rush mirror. There is, of course, that significant difference with Hawk playing the Sigma. We'll see where Atlanta Reign teleport to this time. They're going for the top rafters, it seems.
The thing is, the Shock are kind of incentivized to play the point here. They don't want to give up any tick percentage.
Yeah, they were playing the point last time. They just chose to go aggressive. This position from Hawk, though, it's not going to get challenged, I think, because Atlanta have already proven they know how to deal with that.
Yeah, and he's going to be pumping in the damage from this high ground location. The Shock, though, rotating around the left-hand approach. Super taking a lot of damage, has to hold the shield up. Way too much spam going their way. It has to be the defensive May wall. Now Nero doesn't have it to try and stop them from pushing forwards. Damage still coming through. Ultimate's almost online right now. It's anyone's game, and the Atlanta Reign are looking for any possible edge.
Both teams getting Amp Matrix up here. That could be a crucial factor.
There it is. They're going to be dropping it straight into them. The Atlanta Reign, though, it's going to be the wall to block them off, and they rotate the positioning around. We've got at least one tick on the board, and there's a better ultimate coming through for them. Are they going to be able to contest this with Nero going down? It doesn't look likely. It's going to be traded. Pelican falling. Still, anyone could turn this. They need a big ultimate for it, but with Violet going down, now Super with the Earth Shadow, he has to find something massive, and it's not going to be the case. Hawk, the Gravitic Flux is perfect. It shuts them out, and they are going to be able to get this final capture and take away the map.
Incredible play from the Atlanta Reign there. Nice adjustment from the Shock as well, but it is just not enough. Atlanta looks so good on Hanamura, incredibly prepped, and even against the best in the world, they're able to make their rush comp work. This is a really interesting match. Both teams now being able to assert their dominance on their map type, I suppose, with these Reinhardt rush comps.
Yeah, and it's that added extra flexibility that the Atlanta Reign have got that I think gives them the win here as well. They've got way more compositional answers as well to what the Shock might want to do. Not only that, of course, I mean, the strategic differences in terms of knowing exactly what Shock were going to do on the attack side, it sets them up nicely for the win conditions. Really well played from them, evening this up. I mean, I was a little bit concerned, honestly, off the back of that first map, that we might be seeing the Shock kind of running away with this a little bit. Atlanta Ray not getting back into this. Gives me hope now, Josh. We might be seeing another 5 map.
I could absolutely see it, but this is going to be the first time heading into our next map that Shock gets to select one. These 2 maps that we've seen so far have been Atlanta's picks. One working expertly, one not quite. It's 1-1 in the series.
It certainly is. We're going to go to a short break, and on the other side of things, of course, we're going to be finding out what map 3 has in store for us. It's so even as it stands. Right now, either team can really take it in this elimination match of the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Cannot wait to see what Overwatch 2 content we're going to get from this weekend. And from the hero reworks to the pro player exhibition match, you certainly don't want to miss it. Tune into the Watchpoint pre-show starting 4:45 p.m. Pacific on September the 25th, that's tomorrow, just before the Grand Finals to finally get some updates. And stay tuned through the Grand Finals to see the exhibition match by the Overwatch League pros as well. This is going to be honestly one of the things I'm most excited about tomorrow as well, because I mean, it's going to be fun to see it as well, especially when people were being so mean as well when we saw the initial Overwatch 2 playtest. And I don't know, the Overwatch 2 players, I'm curious what their thoughts are going to be on the game as a whole as well. It's going to be really cool to see.
I think it definitely is, and that's going to include players that have been eliminated from the playoffs. And I can tell you this: the Shock and the Reign, they'd like to play Overwatch 2, but not more than they'd like to advance in the playoffs. They would much, much rather not be involved in that, actually, and they'd like to be playing in the grand finals. Here we see our next map, the first selection by San Francisco in this series, and they're taking us to King's Row. The interesting part about both of these teams having similar styles is that they play maps that both are comfortable on.
Oh, yeah.
King's Row would be the selection, I'm sure, by either of these teams, but the Shock did set a phenomenal time last year against Toronto. 4-minute 42 is kind of crazy, and that's your map leaderboard presented by Xfinity. The Atlanta Reign, though, have looked like the better team on this map in recent history, in the playoffs, I would say.
They have, yeah.
But both are very comfortable on it.
Interesting to note here as well as we head into King's Row that the Shock actually haven't made any substitution changes. When they last played, I think, or the most recent times, and they played King's Row as well, they swapped it up. You remember the Violet Lucio when they were coming out the gates with this thing? That was mainly because FD God wasn't playing in it. They were kind of set up more so for the double flex support backline.
Yeah, they were playing Orisa comps quite a lot.
Actually, yeah.
So this says to me, Brent, the fact that there were no substitutions indicates that they want to play Rush, that they know Atlanta are going to try it, and the Shock feel confident that they can mirror it, and they'd prefer to do that rather than have Twilight in and play double flex support comms with the Orisa. It's a stylistic decision. The strategy shifts depending on what your opponent is. It's not just we play this comp on this map. The teams have prepped a variety of styles for their most important games, potentially in their career for some of these, for most of these players.
For the Shock, they are going to be playing those rush compositions on the defense. Kai will be looking for an early pick-off if he can get it on the Widowmaker. I can't remember the last time we saw a player actually get an early pick! Oh my god! Okay!
That is hubris from Violet, trying to contest that early.
Okay.
They've just been gifted the best pick you could possibly ask for.
Well, spoke that one into existence. I now remember, Josh, the last time I saw Widowmaker get a pick out of the gates. Now I do. I'm definitely going to remember that one. And they are set up to succeed. The Shock, they're going to try and contest this one.
It's all over.
If you lose Violet that early, I mean,
done.
It's done. It is done.
It's done. Not only did they lose Violet, but Gator caught Glisto with an additional piece of spam. His Fire Strike got finished off and got the kill. And so it's an early pick in both of those team fights. Unforced errors from the Shock, but it is a gorgeous kill. From Violet's point of view, though, there's simply no need, is there? I think Choyobin's flying up top. Maybe they think they can get, like, a defense matrix to block the line of sight.
I don't know.
It just seems unnecessary.
It's one error, and now I finally see the reason that we see players switch to Widowmaker, even though normally people don't peek their heads out. But
oh, yeah. If it happens once in scrims, you think, well, it's worth trying a match, isn't it?
Exactly. A nice wall from Atlanta again. Violet jumps up on top of it, doesn't actually opt to use that immortality field. It's going to be saving it.
Super's stuck in the octagon.
Yeah, now we see that's going to be the Amp Matrix used by the Atlanta Reign. They've actually caught this at a nasty angle. Super, he can't withstand that kind of damage. And it has to be the Ice Wall just being used to try and push them back and away. It's defensive in nature. The Shock do not want to fight this, instantly disengaging.
And the Shock are only just starting to get their ultimate cycle online. Violet getting close to that Amp Matrix. Nero with a Blizzard as well. Slightly outpacing Pelican, actually. But these May walls have been incredibly important for the Reign in terms of keeping this momentum flowing as they go through the map. Here's the teleporter up to the high ground. Really nice positioning for the Reign, and they overwhelm Violet and push him back from his own Amp Matrix.
Yeah, the window gets nothing. Nothing at all. And look at the Atlanta Reign's pace. Already the card just really trailing just behind that checkpoint B. They've got a nice little ice wall there. The May wall, okay, maybe they can make something work with this one, but look at that South Stroke right over the top of the Blizzard. It pushes them away. They can't swing into it as a result of it, and now they come back in. Massa, the sound barrier, is excellent. The Atlanta Reign have got a lot of health to work with. Choi just trying to avoid a lot of their line of sight angles, but look at the DPS go. They're rolling them.
Yeah, it starts out with a pick on Violet. That sound barrier from Massa, earlier than the one on FD God. FD God's still 2% away from getting the sound barrier. The Shock I mean, there has never been a time where you could talk about momentum more. The Reign got that early pick onto Violet and have just been pressing the advantage ever since.
Oh, yeah.
The Shock are on the back foot constantly. They're at an ult disadvantage. The Reign are barreling into them. They've got better positions. They're constantly fighting uphill.
Symbol's going to be used just to try and at least play around this Amp Matrix that they've dropped down. That's going to be one for the San Francisco Shock. Super takes a ton of damage. Just trying to get that one off as well, but the Atlanta Reign, they realize, okay, we have to respect it, have to drop around the corner. It's going to give them a breather for a moment, but not too long. Troy ends up using his self-destruct in a weird fashion there, just dropping it down.
Yeah, that wasn't intentional. I think there was supposed to be a self-destruct engage, and he just didn't press his boosters.
Shatter comes out there from Gator, doesn't get too much, in fact, walled up, I believe, completely disjointed it from Nero. Comes back round, what on earth? Shatter into the teleport, 2 players down. It's going to be the counter charge as well that comes through from Gator, but is it enough to try and keep them in this one? Look at all these walls intersecting each other, just cranking 90s all over King's Row. But it is the Shock who win this one. Or is it? The Atlanta Reign still going back in with kills. Massa does take out Super. It does force them now to use this Blizzard. Nero's committing this one, and it does force out the Soundbarrier once more. Massa wants to come back into this one. They've got the close spawn points. They could come back into it with ults, and they are going to. Amp Matrix window drop down. Extra damage for them. Chopping and changing every single direction.
And now the Atlanta Reign have managed to bully their way forwards. The San Francisco Shock really don't have anything to respond with. Teleporter up to the high ground as they try and contest that area. Choyobin and Glister working together. They push back Gator for but a moment. Violet's Immortality Field has already been forced out.
Yeah, so many abilities forced out, but Massa goes down.
That's an important pick.
It's so important for them.
FD God's getting close to ultimate as well. The Shock should be able to stabilize here. Atlanta, it would behoove them to back off a little bit and regain themselves, regroup, and go for another push.
I mean, if they don't get that pick onto Massa, they've used their Immortality Field, Ice Block, Ice Wall.
Yeah.
No tools, really, to be able to use to win out that fight. It needs to be done for the Shock, but now the Atlanta Reign, again, no messing around. No time to wait. They're going to be going straight in. That's so much damage off onto them. Pelican has the Blizzard in hand, but knows he needs to be careful about where he ends up using it. Defensive Ice Wall again, but the freeze comes through. That's going to be Nero just committing his own. Gator so low, swinging away. Along with the Amp Matrix on top of it. Shock finally probably feel like they can actually take a bit of a breather here as they do win a clean team fight.
What we saw in the past from Atlanta and why they looked so good on King's Row is their smart compositional adjustments to be able to deal with their opponents. Now they're in a mirror match. There aren't that many options for you to be able to generate an advantage over your opponent. It's much more about positioning, ult usage, how you take engagements. This high ground control from Choyobin and FD God is crucial right now. As they move from high ground to high ground, they're adapting to where the Atlanta Reign are teleporting to. And Glister may at some point choose to teleport back up to the high ground with Choyobin to retake those areas of the map. They punish Pelican. That was that aggression again, up on the high ground, getting that good position, and now the Shock can press the advantage.
That one pick, that's all they really need to get things rolling, and
it's back and forth. It's like a ballet.
It is.
The Atlanta Reign are trying to contest for this positional advantage. They want their Diva on the high ground. They would like to have their Batiste on the high ground as well. Massa's going to help them establish that position and then play more around the walls than just in a static position. But they're constantly pushing against a Shock that knows how to adapt. And Shock now have a huge amount of ults. I mean, both teams do. This is going to be an enormous fight.
War comes through, and Matrix on top of it. It's going to force out the beat. FD wants to use it, and the Blizzard does not get a...
Oh, the shatter!
What a shatter from Gator! Oh my word! What a way to open things up. And the Shock forced to just commit ults to try and at least hold on to this one. Symbol Amp Matrix off into the back, but it's too late, I think. The Atlanta Reign, oh, they got ults to chuck out, they got ults to burn. This card is going to start to get rolled in, and that is going to be 1 minute and 9 seconds on the board for them.
That is a push from the Reign. What an execution. Gator. Yeah, it wasn't just the fact that Gator gets off the shatter, but they set that play up by walling in front, so they block line of sight from the Shock. They throw the Blizzard in there as well from Pelican, and they instantly drop wall and shatter at the same time. So Shock can't see it coming, and they're trying to reposition based on where the Blizzard is coming in. It's a lovely play that coordinates multiple people together, especially Pelican and Gator, to execute that and set their Reinhardt up for a monster play. And Brent, we've already seen on Hanamura the difference being either side of the minute mark can make. The Shock, even though they lose the map, had their opportunities to stay in it because they dragged the Atlanta Reign time bank underneath a minute. They have failed to do that here on King's Row. A minute and 9 seconds means that if the Shock complete in OT, they're stuffed.
And it could be a massive, massive difference maker. This is really heating up between both these teams. A reminder as well that trivia live.overwatchleague.com, you can participate in that. Not sure what that question was. I ended up missing it, but listen, I'm not giving you the answers anyway.
Let's take a look at this replay as well. This is that shadow towards the end.
I mean, this is excellent.
Oh, that's so good. Actually, the wall was miles away too.
Yeah, and
the wall was really far away.
I thought that the Blizzard may have forced them to, I guess, for Super to drop the shield at least, but it was all instinctual from Gator.
It was
completely
actually
instinctual.
Yeah, now that you look back in the replay, that was, you know, there's an attempt at a set play, but really that's just Gator finding it, feeling it in his gut.
Already the battle begins, no time to wait whatsoever. The teams are just clashing straight away. Gator's gonna get frozen up here. Pelican and Nero, they trade lives. Taken out in this fight. Gator has to hold the shield here, needs to be careful. And now with that Matrix, that's built up so quickly. That's in the first 30 seconds. You gotta be kidding me, Violet.
He's so good. He's just been able to burn down the Atlanta Reign and moving from teleport to teleport, finding these kills. The tracking's immense as well. Takes down Iris just for the cream on top, the cherry on top.
Sure, I mean, yeah, a bit of redemption, I guess, for the opening mistake that cost them that 5-minute time back, I guess, on checkpoint B, but that is a rapid takeover.
Yeah, really nice execution on point A. Now it's about keeping the momentum flowing, because the Atlanta Reign are going to be able to set back up here. If you think about this the other way around, when the Shock were trying to recontest point A, they got torn to pieces and it created this avenue for Atlanta to surge forwards on attack. That's not the case this time around. Atlanta are able to stabilize and hold this choke point. Makes a big difference for the defense.
And they've got ults to use as well. Remember, Violet ended up using his own. They teleport right back behind them once more. Simwall on top of it. To be intersecting them just so that they can't really play around this one. It's a good shadow from Gate. Actually, no, it just misses off onto the side. FD God comes in with the beat as well, just to give them that extra survivability. Let's get rid of that teleport for now, but with the positioning swapped around, the Shock will be able to win out an edge on top of this one. Super getting very, very low. Another window drop down. Nero goes down. The Atlanta Reign, they've got a player advantage. Moving into this one, Super, shadow in hand, has to try and hold the shield to survive, but already locked up once more. That's Pelican's Blizzard doing so much work.
Gorgeous counter Blizzard by Pelican. Nero had already thrown his in earlier. It only caught Gator and Hawk. The backline was in such a great position to be able to just back off from it. But that counter Blizzard is everything for the Reign. Both of these teams are so coordinated with how they're taking and threatening repositions with these teleporters. Glista just going into the backline, and you never know whether it's going to be real or fake.
Oh, quick wall around the corner. Nero forced to use that ice bot just to try and survive this one, and well, that's a little bit too much damage to overcome.
Super got melted as he tried to shatter there. He got killed mid-animation. And Gator just takes the opportunity to throw down his own.
Yeah.
As the Atlanta Reign are going to clean this one up.
It's a freebie, and you know there's no shield on the opposing side. Might as well as just to make the team quite nice and clean. And yeah, I mean, that's massive setting that up with a boop off to the side.
Yeah.
Super just didn't have the team to really support him in that manner when they're playing around that choke point. But again, no time wasted. Right back at it once more. Teleport. They're going to be taking it again. That's an Ant Matrix. This time the Atlanta Reign are ready for it. They actually push all the way back. It's a fantastic reaction. Moving away. Now we see that Simwall being used by Kai. It actually just blocks them off at the choke point. It's unusual. They flipped the map. They can't push around from this one, but yes, they do flip the map in the process. Just trying to get that one edge over one or the other. Hawk ends up using that self-destruct. I think just trying to survive. They flip the positioning around on top of it with the teleporters. Violet's not going to have the immortality field with Massive with the beat. FD God, that causes him to use one of his own, but it's too little too late. They've lost 2 players in the process of this one. Can the Shock try and edge it out? Gator's so low, he will fall in the end. The Shock have just about found the advantage they were looking for. A shadow for Super, but does he choose to use it in this fashion? Just about missing that fire strike. Another Blizzard committed in close quarters. That's Pelican trying to even it out, and now finally the shadow is going to get used. It's on to 1. The charge comes through, just needs to hold it and survive as the spawners come back in. The Shock want to fight this one. They're dragging this out.
What a turnaround. Both teams thought they were going to be able to win that team fight. Choyobin being able to take down Gator while surviving on less than 20 health, I believe. And then Pelican invests his Blizzard into things. It forced out the shadow from Super, which was good, and it set them into this position. 2 minutes, with the Atlanta Reign able to defend here. These teleporters have just been crazy. Both teams flipping around, having great protocols to defend against each other too.
Target, what a shadow from Gator. That's Troy caught into the corner, and FDGod tries to peel, but takes an out in the end. The Blizzard dropped down. Nero might be able to lock up some targets for them to try and clutch this one, and look at how low Massa was. He backs away and gets the healing necessary to survive this one.
Glister's
out,
stuck.
Still trying to play this one. Glister stuck. Gets taken out, the beatdown of Hawk. Shock, surely you can't keep trying to play this one now. They've got no ultimates to work with. They're going to need some sort of miracle to try and find an edge in this one. The Blizzard is pulled out of Pelican, and this should surely mean the win for the Atlanta Reign.
They've isolated Super, but he charges back out. Violet dead, though, means no healing for the Shock, and Atlanta are going to be able to stabilize. Glister, in the midst of that prior team fight, went for a teleport into the backlines.
Wait.
There's
Okay.
A cheeky, I like it, but not going to work. Glister went for a teleport in the middle of that previous team fight and went behind the whole of the Reign on his own. He wasn't with the rest of his team. They weren't trying to flip the map. He just tried to get behind. Teleporter broken, Glister killed, no damage in that team fight. And then Pelican was able to get off a really nice ult. Both of these Mays, though, have now syncopated their ultimates. So Nero's going to get his while Pelicans is offline, and that's going to continue for as long as this map... Well, I mean, as long as the map plays out. It's only 40 seconds left, though, if the Shock are not able to take checkpoint B.
If it continues, exactly. The Atlanta Reign have got these double support ultimates, and they're not going to be messing around. Already dropping them straight through. That's the Sim War from Glister, just to at least dissipate a bit of the damage that might be coming towards them. Wall as well pushes them back, now just down to 25 seconds for the Shock. The pressure is on for them to try and find any sort of advantage. That's going to be... Okay, the sound barrier comes through, the shadow does not connect, the positioning again swapped around. The Atlanta Reign, though, pushed back around the corner. The Blizzard is good, it's a good connection. Multiple players going to get caught up in this one, but the Atlanta Reign still have a couple of tricks up their own sleeves. There's 4 seconds remaining for them. Pelican off to the side angle here. Kai does have the Sim War, but it looks like they're not going to be committing into it. They're going to let them push it. Wait, they are. The overtime push comes through. The ultimates, I spoke too soon.
Pelican has
They do have the Blizzard. Pelican is going to drop it down, and Super, well, he's got nowhere to run. Frozen up around the side. Pelican trying to get this pick, pushing them all away. FDGod falls. Choi dropping down. Desperate to keep this overtime moving for them, but when they're missing 2 of their players, it just doesn't look likely. The Atlanta Reign have shown so much proactivity in terms of this entire map. The ability to find these advantages. Now Nero left alone on the cart. The ice block will at least keep them in it for the time being, but not for much longer. The Atlanta Reign, what a dominant map from them on King's Row. I think they can be really quite pleased moving into this series now off the back of that, gaining the lead.
Smiles all round for the Reign, especially from Gator and Massa, the 2 driving forces behind these Rhine Rush comps. And it's focused determination from the Shock. They know it's going to be a difficult battle from here. The Atlanta Reign managed to win on the Shock's map pick. So now either team has won 1 map pick of the others. The Shock started things out on Atlanta Reign's control map. And King's Row, it's just so good for both teams. And like we said coming into it, Atlanta have looked excellent in terms of their strategy, their preparation, their understanding of how these rush comps work. Are we going to see either team crumble and lose confidence in the Rhine comps, though? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Both teams seem very happy to mirror each other. We're heading into our next map. The Shock are 1 map away from elimination. And for the Atlanta Reign, moving 1 step closer to that goal of the Grand Finals. We'll find out just how this series might be continuing or finishing after this break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hi there, this is Benjamin Jolafé, but you may know me as BenBest. As you know, I'm an excellent mentor. What you may not know is that I'm also a really good looking spokesman for the Overwatch League. While you will never have both my skills and my look, what you can have are Overwatch League perks. All you have to do is connect your Battle.net account with your YouTube account while you watch the Overwatch League playoffs and you will start earning League tokens. Normally, that would be enough, but hey, it's the playoff and you have got a nice face. So here's what I can do for you. For every 3 hours of Overwatch League playoffs you watch, you can earn 3 new Overwatch League skins. That is 9 new skins, all for doing what you were going to do anyway. Watch your favorite, but relatively okay looking Overwatch League teams battle through the playoffs. So take it from me, BenBest. Connect your accounts, watch the Overwatch League playoffs, and level your game up today. Au revoir, et bon match.
Our two-time reigning champions are 1 map away from elimination. The Atlanta Reign are so close they can taste it. They've done it before. They bested them in 2019 and they sent them down to the lower bracket for their eventual lower bracket run into the grand finals victory. But these are some different circumstances now that is facing them in the San Francisco Shock. Well, I mean, they're gonna have to dig deep for this next map win.
They certainly are. There are no roster changes happening here for San Francisco. In fact, the same could be said for both of our teams. I feel like we've got a read on what these guys are doing.
Oh yeah.
They know how the opposite team plays, and we're seeing the mirror match. It's both teams believe that they can be better than their opponents if they just perfect the execution level. Thus far, it's been the Reign with the edge, especially when it comes to the strategy on Hanamura, on King's Row, the teleporter usage and positioning. It's been glorious from them. And it's validating what Custer was saying on the desk when he said he believes that the Atlanta Reign are the best Rush team in the world right now. Rush, not necessarily the meta, but very usable, forcible on a lot of these maps. And the Shock are sending us to Havana. Back-to-back map picks for San Francisco. King's Row did not work out. Havana, you can definitely get away with playing Rush for the whole of the map if you want to, although most teams will trend towards Orisa-based comps as you get away from point A.
Yeah, and for my sake, Josh, kind of hope they do, honestly. I feel like I'm burning enough calories like a chess grandmaster, trying to keep track of all these teleporters. They're going one way, the other way, grouping up, splitting the directions. I mean, I get to see all the information, and it's confusing me.
Yes,
imagine how they feel.
I can't quite imagine you as a chess grandmaster. I'm just,
I have a lot of faith in myself.
Throwing that one out there.
Unbelievable amounts of confidence. I could step into a tournament.
You with a monocle on, playing chess, watching Knight E4, poppycock. That's how I imagine you would be, you know, in an alternate reality.
What's that that chess opening that gets people in like 4 moves?
The Scholar's Mate.
Yeah, that's been used against me a couple of times. Whenever I give it a go, not ideal. Chess, not my game.
Well, the Shock are coming out here playing the rush defense, and Atlanta will be very prepared against this. They have a number of ideas of how to break it. Kai starting out here on Widow will just look for a pick. He did manage to find it on King's Row.
Yep.
I'd be surprised if he got it again. The success rate is not usually that high.
Oh my goodness.
All right, back to spawn he goes and headed to Sim. They have a couple of plays where they like to flip the map.
You can see already, it's going to be the Wars just pulled up, now the teleports comes through. Kai just going to be sending a couple of turrets their way.
It's a little fake, it makes the Shock back off.
Yeah, just to ensure that they destroy it and back away from it. Pulling back the positioning here. The Shock are just looking for that opening pick to try and at least stave a bit of that time up, but Nero goes down. What a pick, and now they're jumping on them. Kai as well, he's flipped the angle with that teleport right into the back line. It is a clean teamfight win here for the Atlanta Reign. You can start to feel this momentum.
3 minutes in the time bank, the Shock really not able to take that much off. And this is where the positioning becomes, and the pathing becomes so predictable. Shock are going to speed boost to the high ground. They're going to try and drop down onto the objective. Take a look here from Pelican's point of view. His icicle aim is nasty good. It's only one of the reasons why he's the best May in the league, or has been for the regular season portion of it. But here we go. The shot coming up top have been read completely. There's Gator getting to the rest of his Earth Shatter just with that Fire Strike.
It's a wall. It's going to be dropping them off right around the corner. Nobody can follow up on the heels. Violet blocked away. Mass around the corner. He's going to pay for it with his life, but not before he gets the 2 picks for them. Now pushing forwards, Kai has so much to work with. Gator drops down that Earth Shatter. Too short if he connects onto too many targets. Just Nero, but enough to push them away. The Shock realize it's a lost fight. We have to back away if we want any chance of trying to contest this in the final moments.
Yeah, Violet was forced to use his Immortality Field. Nero dropped to the floor, and the Shock have been wiped off the face of the Earth. This teleporter helps them get back to the fight early, though, and the Shock, oh, they've been walled off. Can anyone contest? Yes. No! Choyobin just threw his mech in the air. He went for the self-destruct, but he was the only player blocking the objective, and that's checkpoint A in almost record time going to the rain.
That's brutal for the Shock. You're going to be looking at that one, you're thinking, oh my word, we've just invested ultimates into... Fire ended up losing it. The Atlanta Rain, 4 minutes, 21 seconds in their time bank, steadily pushing this one forward as well. They are feeling themselves.
Now the Atlanta Rain are going to get into advanced positions once more. They don't have the greatest ults to try and keep this momentum going. They could go for a self-destruct engage, but that's pretty difficult on Havana Point B. They're really waiting for Iris's ult to come online.
There's a wall to push them away. Shadow available for Super as well, holding on to this one. Fire Strike. A little bit mistimed with that one, put down to the low ground as well. Drops a Shadow around the corner, that's 2 players down. Sandbar from Massa just trailing away, and with the Blizzard falling, they eventually get that team fight win that they were looking for.
Gorgeous play from Matthew Delisi. Super lands the Shadow there under so much pressure, and then he just has to hide in the corner with his shield up, but he's already done the damage. Nero as well committing the Blizzard into that team fight as the Shock desperately try and keep their main tank alive and their hopes in this series as well. 3 minutes and the Atlanta Rain are coming back in without double support ultimate. The Shatter is their main tool that could turn this one around, but Gator's currently getting hammered. So much pressure on that shield.
Yeah, not a lot charge left. He's going to manage it perfectly. There's a symbol dropping down to the low ground, pushed away. Perhaps, I don't know if that was a bit of miscommunication or just a boop, but now they push him right around the corner. Choi is way out of position. Glister gets taken out by a pin. What is going on here? The Shock, they're dropping like flies.
They got sandwiched. Gator jumped down from the low ground, threw a Fire Strike, hopped back up and slammed Glister against the wall. Just smushed him. And the Atlanta Rain are heading with some pace towards checkpoint B. Violet has an Amp Matrix, but I'm not sure what more they're going to be able to do. Violet's not going to be in a great position to use it. Teleport is going to come up on the high ground. The wall is preemptive. That's such a good wall.
Choi has to go over the top. He's taken so much damage just to do so, keeping it contested up. Now we see that window drop to the side. Iris has one of his own, finally going to be using it. And now Hawk, look at this angle he's found himself upon. The high ground position, just trying to deny up as much damage that they could do. The Blizzard into the corner. It's Glister in a lot of trouble, and eventually the shield will burst. The Shock, they don't have much else to really hold on to this one. The Atlanta Rain, again, the complete control and mastery over the positioning of checkpoint B. They are steamrolling their way through Havana.
This is lightning fast. 3.5 minutes. The rush comps do start to get a little less potent as we head towards checkpoint C. But when you're running them in the mirror, the pressure is really on the defense. The Shock have a couple of good places to hold. One is the archway in front of you, but obviously they don't want to take the fight there. The second is that high ground hut that they've pressured past.
Violet's off the map as well. The Shadow from Super to try and turn things around.
That's wild.
He pulls out the ult just to try and clutch it, but when you lose Violet that early, I mean, this is disastrous now for the San Francisco Shock.
I assume that Hawk used his boosters through the teleport and just timed it perfectly to catch Violet and knock him off the map. That's wild. Now the Atlanta Rain are going to be able to press up a little more, stop the Shock from taking advanced positioning, and the next team fight's going to happen around the archway. They've turned checkpoint C into a 2-fight defense.
You almost never see that. You really almost never see that. The Atlanta Rain as well. Look at these support ultimates. They have everything to just keep this one rolling all the way into checkpoint C. The boot from Massa again. Impeccable timing. Now the Sandbar on top of it. The damage that he's doing. This guy, he can't be stopped right now. The Atlanta Rain, of course, they just chuck everything into it. Super forced to hold the shield. Choi Hyobin with a 2K just from the remake. In what world is that even a possibility? Iris and Kai out of the fight.
And he may have just bought again another lifeline here for the Shock. It would be so fitting that it happens on Havana just to stop that momentum like he has done in the past.
What? How does that happen? It was chaos everywhere for Atlanta and the Shock, but come on, a double kill with the remake? I've never seen that before. What? All right, Atlanta coming back into this. They have the Blizzard. They can force a team fight around the objective, around the payload, but they've got to navigate Choyobin's defense matrix. And the Shock have double support ultimates coming up in this fight too, so either way, the Shock are favored. They get the freeze there for just a moment, but where's Pelican going to throw his Blizzard? He has to wait until there's players that drop down to contest.
And now he's going to use it right at the back of the side here. Icebox to try and disjoint away from this one. FD God's already gone down as well. No one's really dealing with him. Another freeze comes through. Pelican, just one quick little punch to the face will take it out now. Going to try and at least stop them here, but the Atlanta Reign have got way too much speed behind them as well. The early start of Havana here, the fact that they just got so much momentum winning those team fights back to back to back. 1 minute and 3 seconds is what they've been awarded with a full completion on Havana. And now the Shock are staring at an almost insurmountable goal in terms of Havana. Not a lot of teams are able to get that kind of time and pace.
That crumble defense might be their three-peat hopes. The Shock have got to be able to win Havana to force this to a 5th map. And that time bank is almost never seen. That looks like two teams playing on different tiers of competition. The Atlanta Reign just stomped the Shock into the dust. It would require an incredible effort for San Francisco to get back into this. The payload barely stopped.
Yep.
The Shock won...
One team fight checkpoint B.
One team fight checkpoint B. I think one team fight on checkpoint C. That was it. Yep. 2 team fights that they won, as far as I can remember. Other than that, the payload cruised forwards the entire time. Take a look at this replay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's Hawk. The teleporters are getting read so hard by Atlanta Reign. As Glister goes for that TP, there's an instant reaction from Hawk to just use his boosters and sail through it. At minimum, he does damage to everyone and stops the push happening as quickly. And at best, he gets a knockback kill like that. Almost got a 2k as well if Choyobin had not been able to get himself back onto the high ground.
A Shock. It's time to try and answer back any way you can. It's the three-peat dreams on the live, already clashing blow for blow, swinging into one another. Super just trying to build up that Earth Shadow as best as he can, but it's an early immortality field that is forced out, and Choi out of the mech. It's not a great start for them, but any pick they get will be what they're looking for. And a pin round the corner, well, that's done a bit of collateral damage.
This has to be the beginning of the momentum for the Shock. This was dealt with very quickly. Similar kind of pace to what Atlanta Reign set, 3.5 minutes as they break this. But now you need to see them have a good reaction. I'd like to see them press forwards, start to gain some early positioning, and catch the Atlanta Reign off guard as they try and go for this second team fight. Here's a replay of Glister, teleported into the back lines.
Oh, wow.
Wall in his face, just able to take down Gator, but at that point, it's essentially Super that gets the kill, because he's pinned Gator into a corner.
Yeah. Not messing around, already back at it with this team fight here. And Matrix just round the corner. It's a response from both teams. And they got a bit of extra damage as well to work with as they're just trying to land it through. Iris ends up using this immortality field, and there wasn't really much in the way of it. What a shadow. Super drops it down. And now they're going to be trying to walk forwards, but already Pelican is taken out. Iris standing to take a couple of risks. Needs to win out this fight, but has to reload. He can't quite take out Violet. A clean team fight win for the Shock. It needed to happen if they had a chance in hell of trying to take this map away, but so far they're playing like they absolutely do not want to go home.
Look at this shadow from Super. It was so good. Knocked Pelican and Hawk to the ground. The follow-up was instant onto Pelican, and Hawk was out of mech immediately as well. Here we see Nero with an excellently placed Blizzard, but a counter shadow does well. FD got to save them.
Already, Gator is deep in the backline currently, just trying to fight all of them. It's a fight taking place on 2 fronts. They're pushed around at the angle. Kai has got so much damage built up, and the Shock, they choose to regroup. The fast engagement coming out from the Atlanta Reign here is working out in their favor, but now we see Choi sends in the South Destruct. Massa goes down, the pin at the same time. It's simultaneous. A bit of a set play to try and crack things open, and it wins the team fight for them.
Beautiful micro disengage, and the Shock have 4 minutes in the time bank. This payload needs to make progress fast through checkpoint B if the Shock want a chance at a similar pace that the Atlanta Reign set. Atlanta have been so fast back into these fights. They're just trying to take as many team fights as possible. But they no longer have any good ultimates. They expended them all to try and slow down the momentum at checkpoint A. So now the Shock, with 3.5 minutes, pressing their way forwards. Super could once again be a game changer here.
That's the Shatter. It's aggressive coming out from the Atlanta Reign, already just swinging away at them. The Immortality Field is forced out early, dropped down to the low ground. They're trying to force the shield out. The fadeaway fire strike. Super, he finds it. Gator's gone. Another couple of swings, and Kai's dealt with on top of it. All the damage for the Atlanta Reign is now going to be missing in this fight, and you're starting to see,
Ren,
I mean, the momentum has just shifted.
This is what people talk about when they say Shock magic. If you're a fan of the league and you've only started watching in 2021, you might have thought that everyone was delusional, talking about how good the Shock could be and believing in their potential at all times. This attack is what we've seen from the Shock in previous years. They suddenly just elevate to another level.
Pelican's got to go huge with this one. Freeze does force out that ice block. Now the Blizzard into it, but Choi, what an eat! The ultimate's gone completely. The one tool they were hoping for that was going to change the tide of this fight. And the Shock, well, it's just another day in the office is what it feels like at the moment. But, I mean, we know it's not the case. They've been pushed to the brink in this series, but right now it's 4 minutes. 6 seconds on the time back.
What a response from the Shock. Look at this play from Chiobin as well. He gets around the ice wall to eat it up.
What to say.
He just reads that play perfectly from Pelican. All of these players are locked into the zone right now. It is going to require something incredible for Atlanta Reign to wrestle this back under control.
I didn't realize that the San Francisco Shock had another level to them, but they're showing it right now.
Here it is.
The gear switch in order. There's a symbol. Kai just wants to try and use it to get his team into a good position, but it's a disengage from the Shock again. They walk backwards.
Another Choyobin push, perhaps. He looks like he might be lining up for a self-destruct engage. Here it is.
Self-destruct comes over the top this time. Gator's trying to get a read on it. Right around the corner. The Atlanta Reign, they knew that was coming and they walk onto them. The sound barrier gives them a bit of health to work with, but the freeze comes through. Super just trying to survive, holding the shield. He will get taken out. The Atlanta Reign winning this one out ever so slightly. They've got the damage advantage, and that is going to be the team fight when they finally stop the Shock.
That's the first team fight that Atlanta have won on defense, though. And the Shock still have really good spawns here.
They're committing ults. That's going to be the Amp Matrix into it, but Gator, one of his own. I don't believe it. The Atlanta Reign, what a read from them.
I'd rather have my Batista alive, though, than my Lucio, I think, in this scenario, especially considering how fast the spawns are for the Shock.
I see this fight continuing. That's going to be the Blizzard gone. What an eat from Hawk. Fight continues. A Shatter comes down, but it's going to be blocked up. That's Gator just coming up with the goods once more. Gator throws his own out. Will he be able to get anything out from it? It doesn't look likely. The Shock, no one's really dealt with Glister, and he has charged up that beam. Still coming through with it. It's a team fight win for the Shock, and this is getting so dicey, so drawn out. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. There are so many ways this could go now.
Violet could engineer an advantage for San Francisco with his Amp Matrix. There's a couple of options here. They could try and overwhelm the high ground that Gate is currently playing on, or they can just play around the payload and try and throw damage through it towards the finish line. Shock with double support ultimate, Choyobin as well with that self-destruct. FD God looks like he wants to go for a boop here, maybe into a self-destruct play?
Possibly. Teleport into the back. They've swapped the positionings round. The window is there. The Atlanta Reign are playing aggressive into it, though. Sound barrier as well. It supplements it. No more Immortality Field, and Super has fallen. Glister goes down on top of it.
That's a great recovery from the Atlanta Reign. Exactly when they needed it, too. Seems inevitable now that Atlanta are going to set a better time back. The question is simply, can the Shock finish with anything comparable? Can the Shock finish at all? This is everything on the line right now for San Francisco. The three-peat dreams. They could die here.
They really could. Nero close to the Blizzard, but that's pretty much the only thing they're working towards. The Atlanta Reign have got everything almost. And they're currently holding that defensive position, pushed away. The wall comes up around the corner. See this Amp Matrix as well, drop down. Super is in such a precarious position. He's taking so much damage and eventually bursts down. It has to be a disengage from the Shock. There's no way, there's no world in which they win this one.
Yeah, Atlanta Reign's ultimate bank is starting to tick upwards. Sub 1 minute right now as Massa escapes around the side of Havana, dipping his way up and over the top. The Atlanta Reign have a a shatter that could be game-changing. Super getting up to his own. The Reinhardt mind game starting to get into play as they teleport and try and flip the map.
What a wall. Pelican, he's coming up with some big damage now. The shatter drop down around the corner. That's Gator. You got one player down, and that's the Blizzard 8 up as well. With it, this could just be the Shock's hopes and dreams. They're trying to finish with a bit of time. The Shatter Super frozen. Not going to be getting anything from it. The Atlanta Rain, well, that's everything dropped down. And it's almost everything denied for the San Francisco Shock. There will not be a three-peat today. A few seconds standing between the Atlanta Rain and getting the win. Well, they upset them back in 2019, but this was anything but that. This is an Atlanta Rain that is here to play. And our two-time champions are going home.
What a victory today for the Rain. You said it, Bren. This is not an upset. Atlanta was simply the better team today. They have been, in fact, the better team all year around, and they've sent home the defending champions. Atlanta were able to get that victory in the head-to-head, in the Reinhardt mirror, looking superb in terms of how they used the teleporters, how they were operating around the map strategically, positionally. They won on 2 of the San Francisco Shock's map picks, and they looked excellent when they got their chances on Hanamura too. This team is currently looking like the best rush team in the world, and it's all smiles for them as they head towards a minimum podium finish. They're going to have their opportunity just after this to play for a spot in the grand finals, but it's already the best season that Atlanta has ever had. These players are stepping up in this postseason, and they look phenomenal. This team is not the most flexible in the world. They don't have the most star players packed into one roster, but they are amazing at what they play, and they've refined it to such a degree that they look like they can go toe-to-toe with the absolute best in the world.
Today, they were absolutely the better team. I mean, the San Francisco Shock definitely stretched it out. You can see how close those individual maps are, but the scoreline, it doesn't change and it doesn't lie. 3-1 win for the Atlanta Rain. One of the players who was instrumental in making it happen. Well, our player of the match presented by Xfinity is going to be going to Gator in this particular instance. What a play, honestly. Instinctual when it comes to a lot of his Earth Shadow usages. Playing around as well. He had a couple of funny moments early on. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's either 0 IQ or 200 IQ. Depends how many players you take off the map. But I tell you what, the entire series long, he was the consistent factor in just playing around the team. The entire time, right place, right time.
Yeah, he landed some enormous shatters that were game-changing for his team as well. That one in particular, in slow-mo, I think Super Shield may have been broken as well. I mean, that is just incredible instinctual plays. But more so than getting the huge moments, Gator is also the spearhead of this rush composition. And alongside Masa and alongside Kai with the Symmetra, they dictate the pace of how Atlanta plays and which areas of the map they fight over, how they take aggression. And they just look sublime doing it. Gator's Reinhardt is clearly up there with the best in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And they should be so proud of what they've accomplished today.
I'm so excited to see as well how far can the Atlanta Rain go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard path ahead of them, but obviously they have their sights on the grand finals that is going to be taking place tomorrow.
I'll tell you this, Bran, they seem to match up very well against North American teams. The Western region should be scared of the Atlanta Rain, I think. You know, they're not playing against Chengdu, they're not playing against Shanghai. It's Dallas coming up next. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have been so impressed over the course of this tournament. I mean, they've shown so many different looks on top of it as well. Yeah. Able to lean into their star DPS multiple times. Yeah, just an unreal performance from them as well, and knocking out our two-time champions as well. What a way. I mean, they're not done yet. They're not done yet. We're going to go to a short break. On the other side of things, of course, we have another match to be played. We're going to be taking a bit of a break so that the players get a bit of a breather as we head into the next match. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back soon enough with even more Overwatch League action for the 2021 playoffs.
Come on. Someone. Play point. Play right side. Give it. Let's go, bro. Fucking yo, repeat my asshole. Fucking hell. Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Atlanta Reign, cool, calm, and collected, answering back with pick after pick. Atlanta Reign with some absurd DPS performances. Gator lays down the shadow. That is beautiful. Oh! My God. It's like, okay, well, Pelicans down. Time to step up, I guess. Headshot after headshot after headshot.
Stunning defensive work.
Oh, my goodness.
It's devastating how good Pelican is.
Kai! He gets two! And Hawk with the self-destruct. The Atlanta Reign, they're looking straight at the top, Matthew. You've got a Rookie of the Year. You've got a hit scan god. You've got one of the best aggressive divas in the Western region and maybe even one of the top globally. You've got a mechanical god on the Baptiste and Flex supports. The Atlanta Reign are serious business.
This team has been rock solid all year long. Obviously making it to Hawaii 3 times during the year. Pelican wins Rookie of the Year. And you know, it's kind of funny. We announced the Roll Stars today. There's no Atlanta representation in that whatsoever. Where I voted for Iris. I thought he had a tremendous
Pelicans
year.
out by 3.
Pelican did barely
and
miss
in fairness,
out. But
we had some people vote Molan Run, for example.
that's
you know,
true.
there were some interesting votes. So maybe if they were.
But Hawk has had a very strong year. Iris, I think it just kind of speaks to how this Atlanta team they play, and the comps they want to run, just very scrappy. Everybody kind of pulling their weight together.
Every one of these teams are looking for their first Overwatch League title, and the Reign's opposition had a great, strong start to the year. They dipped off a little, but now they're here to play. Of course, it's the one and only Dallas Fuel.
They're such an anomaly. They're one of a kind. They're so unique, you cannot prepare for the Dallas Fuel.
Dallas Fuel are operating on another level. This is a masterful machine with all of the cogs working in the right way.
These mechanics.
The mechanics!
Oh my word.
6-man anti! 6-man anti!
Wow! It's gigantic!
Playing so aggressive. What is that?
That is disgusting.
Doha from the side. You've got to be joking.
Today, those in burn blue, burn brightest. Less than 4 2021 Roll Stars on this Dallas Fuel team. They are the real deal. But they weren't good enough against the Shanghai Dragons yesterday. Not even close. They definitely had to have a hard look at themselves last night, man. They better be coming back with some of that new fire.
I mean, nobody's really been that close to Shanghai throughout the playoffs thus far, but Dallas, they clearly want to get back and have that rematch. There's some of the stuff in that series that they thought, possibly could work out in the long run. They just have to get by this Atlanta Reign team, which a lot of these matches, Josh talked about it, I believe it was either on Twitter or during one of the casts, where there's just so many different stylistic matchups and so many different compositions that the teams like to play in this playoffs. It's not really been dedicated by or predicated by one specific composition, where both of these teams have very differing styles on how to play and what they want to play, that are left. And it's going to be a real test for Dallas to make what they do work against Atlanta.
So to a great degree, these teams are going to be relying on their ability to execute their particular styles. But as this series goes, and tomorrow, of course, as we see the winner go up against the Shanghai Dragons, we'll also be examining the stylistic differences. At this point, it's a little bit too late to make huge changes to your approach. A little bit here and there you can tweak, maybe.
Atlanta has showed us some ball stuff. They showed us some Winston stuff, which is a little bit different.
On the Winston, to be fair.
Which is a little bit different than what we've seen from them thus far. And then Dallas has also brought out some wrecking ball looks pretty consistently here throughout the playoffs. So these teams have kind of deviated from, I know, their bread and butter, but really, this is going to be about Atlanta trying to play that rush, brawly, scrappy type of style, while Dallas tries to play fast and aggressive.
Oddly enough, that rush style was what gave Dallas Fuel their stage title in the first place, right? The Mayhem LA, the Dallas Fuel piloted that composition to victory. They've since sort of left it a little bit, but maybe this is a matchup on which they can go back to it.
Well, that's what the Shock just tried to do. And I think Atlanta welcomes that. They believe that they are the best rush brawl type of team in the world, in which you want to match us in this, we will play that over and over. We will go down swinging with what we think we are the best at. And at least here early on, it looks like Dallas wants to give it a go.
Here we go out of the gates here on Lijiang Tower, and it is indeed game on, ladies and gentlemen. The Dallas Fuel and the Atlanta Reign fights for that chance to have a crack at the Dragons in our final. And it is going to be the rush mirror here. Gator pushed very far forward in the middle of the map, and you can already see the Fuel try and get around behind the Reign. Hum is able to catch Kai out, though. That Immortality Field from Iris doesn't quite hit the mark.
Yeah, you're going to lose Fearless here for the Dallas Fuel, but you should still be able to win this fight. You have Iris going to fall now as well. So Dallas does a nice job getting aggressive early. Hanbin being able to find Kai is massive.
I mean, he and Doha were working their way through the flank there. Getting the Symmetra as the first pick is unreal.
The Symmetra is a large source of the damage in these fights, right? The longer the Symmetra lives, the more damage the Sim is going to do.
And now the Dallas Fuel trying to get more aggressive. Hawk playing cute on the corner just in case someone pushed too far. They'd be taken down by the remake, but that's not the case. In fact, it's Hanbin striking yet again. The first elimination in the fight. This time it's Gator down, and Iris follows soon after. The Atlanta Reign are getting a quick wake-up call.
And like you mentioned, Dallas Fuel use this type of composition in the melee to be able to win it all. This is not far into them. I think Atlanta, though, to get pushed back and kind of hit in the mouth this hard, this early, probably a little bit of a wake-up call. It's a different level up from what they had to deal with San Francisco.
Almost 40% on the clock now. Plenty of time for Atlanta to make the comeback, but Dallas are waiting for them to move on to the point. They've set the trap now, and all that remains is for the Reign to move up into it. Might be a TP, no, that's the wall. Hawk's going to quickly try and get away, and it had to be an ice block immediately from Pelican. Blizzards come down. The Venn diagram of disaster on the point here, but Hawk's the one that gets desuited. The Shadow's blocked by Gator, though. Great timing as both teams go for sound barriers. Oh, a couple players caught by another fantastic Doha wall, though.
This has been all Dallas Fuel, and if you're Atlanta, obviously very early, but definitely a little bit worrying that when you get into this mirror matchup, Dallas is willing to take it, and they are taking it to you here early on. 80% and counting for the Dallas Fuel. We can take a look here from Fielder's point of view, keeping everybody alive here, even through the sound barrier and some of these other ultimates used by the Atlanta Reign.
I mean, the Maywall from Doha really puts the last nail in the coffin there. Both teams with the amplification matrices now, but the Symmetra wall shuts Atlanta's matrix down. Can't say the same on the other side, though, as the Reign really had to be careful about peeking and try and get ahead past the wall. But Gator's going to be shattered mid-charge, and Doha cleans him up. That's 2 now for Doha. The May has been extremely impactful in this round, and the Atlanta Reign, frankly, haven't even had a bite of the apple. It's all Dallas so far here on Lijiang.
So that is as dominant of a rush performance you can pull out there early from the Dallas Fuel. Atlanta gonna have to bounce back in a big way here in this second round. That's their bread and butter. They got absolutely torched.
You see that there were mirror images of each other there. The ultimate economy was approximately the same, even though Atlanta were losing a lot of these fights, right? The Blizzards came up at the same time. The amplification matrices came up at the same time. But it was the stuff outside of that was really crucial, right? Late in the fight, Sparkle obviously able to survive a little bit longer. Doha really punishing that Shadow. Look at this setup.
Yeah, this is a Sim turret that I believe, actually, yeah.
So many Batistes are leaping up to their own demise so far tonight. Not quite as egregious as the last match,
no.
but...
So I know you lose your BAB, but it's pretty tough, right? Largest source of healing, immortality field, almost even more important.
Doha, okay, has the ice block there, gets a little too far forward, and Hanbin's been desuited already.
Oh, nice move.
Over the edge goes Doha. Good start now for the Atlanta Reign. Getting the desuit is a great start, and they'll be able to drag this one out and then move to take point.
Yes, the kill on the Hanbin early on is fantastic, right? Really kind of look at what Defense Matrix and Immortality Field is your 2 big defensive utility cooldowns.
Hawk's desuited, so there is a chance to get some good value out of this amplification matrix, but it looks like not enough Fuel players were really in the vicinity to take advantage. So it's an ultimate thrown away.
They do trade, right? You know, Amp Matrix for Amp Matrix. Gonna have Pelican very close to this Blizzard here coming into the next fight. Big advantage over Doha.
Clever gets rid of the sentry turret on his way out, and he's got a sound barrier. He lets it go. Fearless and Harbin crucially are on the wrong side of the Symmetra wall, though. They don't get the sound barrier. Now they're both going to be shattered. It's an immortality field desperately deployed by Fielder, but it doesn't keep the tank line alive. Sparkle's wall comes out, but it's far too late to have an impact.
That is a huge Symmetra wall there by Kai, whether intended or not. Splits off the tanks from receiving the sound barrier. Fearless and Hanbin both get shattered during that and then taken out. So Atlanta now starting to come alive, where first round really dominated by Dallas. This one really been all Atlanta, as a Pelican will have the Blizzard here. Double supportals available for the Atlanta Reign. So, they're going to get up to, close to 70% before this next fight kicks off.
Fearless is looking for MTD in this fight. Has a shadow ready. Maywall popped up early. Fearless happened to play behind it for the time being, and there's the shadow. Okay, catches Hawk and Kai with the sound barrier expertly applied after the fact by Masa. Here are the Blizzards once more on the point of Sparkle that careens over the edge. Care of Master, and he might be sitting more after him. The holographic fishes are going to feed well tonight as Hanmin goes over, and it looks like that was voluntary from Fielder.
Big plays by Masa, right? He had the boot early at the start of the round, and then being able to take out Sparkle there. As now you're going to see them move over the Dallas Fuel and end up playing a sim with a Doomfist. So Doha's going to pick up the sim when we get back into game.
Yeah, they're going to start this fight pretty quickly here. This always seems like the last resort for the Dallas Fuel. Let's see if it works out. Maywall's going to slow Dallas down. Oh, they caught Sparkle. They're going to focus him down. He can't get away past the rooftop. A shatter catches Hanbin here, and Gator wants to go forward, but the bomb is going to give him pause for thought. That comes down, but Master's out, and it's a trade now. The Atlanta Reign are down to one support, and Gator tries to charge up, but there's a wall in his way. Jexa trying to play safe up on the high ground here, but the Symmetra barrier needs to be dealt with. His Hanbin felled by a resuit, and that's Jexa's sound barrier. This time, not so bad. Sparkle wasn't close enough to be impacted by it, but he's able to get some kills in this fight. Regardless, it's Fearless fighting Gator with the charge, and the Doomfist pays off. Last resort for Dallas. Works out.
Yeah, in the final moments, Dallas able to turn it. They had to use everything in this fight. Said Atlanta, you come back here, you can build up this Blizzard. You just have to be careful of the Doomfist, right? The Doomfist here for Dallas, it's just that one-shot kill potential that the Doom has that can really ruin anything you try and set up.
Getting rid of a May, getting rid of a Symmetra at the start of the fight.
Sim is really the squishy target.
But May, you can insta-kill a May, right? Normally she hangs around for far too long because of ice. Oh my God! Fearless just snapped legs! The Atlanta Reign tried to turn around, and they were far too late. Love that, and Fearless now is getting fired up.
I mean, there's no defense for that, right? TP immediately with the shatter coming on through it. So Atlanta, as soon as they pushed up, they probably knew as soon as that TP was taken, they hear the shatter. No way that they're able to block that. Especially in the scenario, right? Gator turns, you basically turn your back to the rest of the Dallas Fuel team with your shield up. He would have been burnt down instantly.
Atlanta a little rattled by that one, but they know they're one fight away from a win on this round. Sparkle has Meteor Strike in a moment. Remember, those cooldowns recover much quicker now while he's in air. Gator's hoping for some aggression, perhaps staying out of the poke range. Of course, Symmetra's annoying for that. In they go. Turret's giving him a tickle, and here's the shadow. It's Fearless and Doha both caught by it, but the Immortality Field is timely. Great response. Gator quite low here. He gets pressured down by Doha, who's frozen, as is Fearless. The Blizzard works out perfectly for the Atlanta Reign. And Dallas get walked over. Now Atlanta set up, and the Dallas Fuel are likely they can do too much more. Sparkle sneaks onto the point, rather than covert of him, but maybe stunned in a second. And yeah, Pelican is going to stop him in his tracks. This has been quite the Lijiang Tower so far. We're going to a third round.
And Gator does his job perfectly there. He walks up, able to just kind of hit a shatter. I don't think Fearless expected that coming. Connects with two, and then although it gets stunned and interrupted, the attempt of the play to try and pin, I believe it was Doha, back into the rest of the team, just kind of sends Dallas into a little bit of a chaos. So Dallas will switch back. They'll put Sparkle back on the Sim, Doha back on the May. As we'll get another mirror matchup here to end the Lijiang.
And Atlanta were happy that the Shock opted into this setup as well. We'll see how happy they are in a couple maps' time that the Fuel are doing the same thing. One thing's for sure, these two teams are evenly matched so far.
first fight's going to be huge. It's, getting a May wall and a pick here early on would be massive. There goes the Immortality Field already.
So low. Gator so low, Hawk as well. The Atlanta Reign's Immortality Field was around for a long time and it prolonged their lives far longer than you would expect. But eventually it comes down and so do the Atlanta Reign, crumbling as they go.
So Dallas will get control of the point first. You imagine they get control of the point and they decide to push up, right? You can play this choke here. So maybe they don't think they have enough time to close the gap, but Atlanta seemed to be waiting there for them.
They were maybe hoping the Fuel try and get a little more aggressive. Symmetra wall here for Sparkle, that's going to be a relevant ultimate. Pelican trying to freeze up, but there's that wall now. It splits the Atlanta Reign in two, and Fearless is trying to take advantage. He wants to push up, but Gator catches Sparkle with a point-blank charge, somehow preempting the Symmetra coming forward. Unnatural precognition. And it's the Atlanta Reign who are getting it all done here. The Amp Matrix Fire Strike catches Jexa, and the Reign move into capture.
I mean, Gator had a few of those against San Francisco. Some nice fire strikes through the Amp Matrix, resulting in kills, and that's a huge take back there for the Atlanta Reign. They didn't have any ultimates going into that fight. They just used, I believe it was Iris with his Amp Matrix there, who gets it. So now you kind of have a Shatter, you have Blizzard working into this next fight. This one could be big. You know, Dallas starts to use some of these ultimates. You're only at like 20% on the clock, but and how long these fights go, not many more fights after that.
TP. Okay, the Reign just sit tight on the pole. Oh my God, another one! Good response though from Gator. Fantastic way to counter the Reinhardt, and Fearless can't capitalize on an astonishing teleport shatter. But there's going to be a Fielder's Blizzard gets eaten up there. Excuse me, Pelicans. Self-destruct now going to be thrown on the point, but Pelican's going to be at an ice block, throws up a wall, and the Reign try and back up a little bit. Fearless is looking pretty healthy, though, when Hawk's lost his mech. Iris might be considering the Amp Matrix, and he goes for it here. The shield of Fearless is going to be able to stand tall for the time being, and they throw an ice wall to protect. Oh, the aggression from Fearless. This might cost him. Immortality Field is brought down, but Gator's faring no better, and Fearless just doesn't stop. He pushes straight into the wall, and all of Dallas steamroll the Reign after a very tense pre-fight.
Well, it's a beautiful Symmetra wall that comes out as Pelican here using Ice Block just to extend this one a little bit longer. Maybe Masa can get on in touch now. He gets taken out before, but the Sim wall from Sparkle, when Fearless goes in to try and take out Pelican, he actually gets caught off of the wall, and it looks like that Atlanta is going to be able to take him out. But you have the Batiste healing that comes in from Fielder. There's an Immortality Field there. And then when Gator gets so low, he can't receive any healing from Iris because that Symmetra wall gets in the way. So really nice placement of the Symmetra wall there from
TP.
Sparkle.
Shatter, Fearless, caught, Immortality Field, and he's charged out of it. Perfect from Gator. You can't ask for much more than that here. I'm been able to find Iris amidst all the chaos here and stall out for as long as he can. A Hawk desuited, that's relevant. It's going to be Doha going for the Blizzard now. The Diva can't eat it up. Harbin's lost his mech as well, and Doha's removed by Pelican. Symmetra wall and Blizzard drawn out here for Atlanta. They're spending everything to try and get the point back, but it's not a clean fight win. Fitness eventually is brought down. Kai has to triple down for kills. But Atlanta use almost everything.
And Dallas makes this switch again. Are they going to stay on this, where now Doha plays the Sim, and they're going to have Sparkle play the Doom? So this is really like an all-in type of scenario, and maybe it's because, like I mentioned, there wasn't a chance for them to build up those ultimates
They need to reposition Fearless for a Shatter. That's why they stay with the Sim here. They're definitely going to do something cheeky with it. Masa trying to get ready for it. Shatter, okay, nothing fancy about that one. Sound barrier here for Masa, the only ultimate that Atlanta brought into this fight. It's effective, but not effective enough. Gator is brought down by the Fire Strike, and then Immortality Field is looking awkwardly placed from Iris. That's uncharacteristic. But he's shackled by those Sim turrets as he tries to push up onto the point. Doha trying to get aggressive on Masa, but he doesn't realize that Kai is nipping at his heels. It doesn't matter. Doha's found two. Kai's trying to back up here. Buy a bit of space as Doha needs healing, and there's no support. He's found out. Kai's able to dig him out of the corner now, and Jackson tries to push up with Harbin. They get rid of Kai. They go over the Reign shield, and Gator has to sheepishly retreat.
But Atlanta has so many ultimates here. They're going to have the self-destruct. You're going to have the Shatter, the Sim wall. You're in a great spot to take this map if you're in the Atlanta Reign shoes.
It's now or never for Atlanta. Here we go. Amplification Matrix fired off, and that's Hanbin with the Defense Matrix to protect against as much as possible. Symmetra wall from Doha, and there's a Shatter from Gator, but he might have to hold on to us here. It's no clear shot. It's blocked by Fearless. Fearless keeps his shield up for the time being, and Sparkle goes in. It's Pelican the first casualty here, but there's two frozen on the fuel. Gator's able to capitalize on one of those, but Fearless finds his second kill for the fight, and he's still healthy. There's even an Earth Shatter here, and he lets it go. Nothing Gator can do now as he's charged backwards into the wall, but Kai was doing work the whole time. It's a 3v2, and now it's Masa on his own. Just not enough for the Atlanta Reign, but boy howdy, it doesn't get much closer.
You had an ultimate advantage there for Atlanta going into that. Not able to turn it in the end as Dallas comes out on top, but that is as close of a map one as you can get. Dallas Fuel wondering what they would play going into this series, try and kind of force the issue on some other types of compositions. They match them in the mirror.
Much like the San Francisco Shock, Dallas, they go the mirror. They stand their ground. They say, we pioneered this composition to victory in our first trip over to Hawaii, and we're going to show you how it's done. It's a good start for the Dallas Fuel, and no guarantee they'll play this composition for all of the maps. I have a feeling Atlanta want to play some Hanamura. Let's see what they pick after the break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Who's that DPS? It's Sparkle!
Sparkle dominating the game, putting on an absolute show. There's just nobody like him in the league.
Sparkle has a blade, he pulls it straight away. This guy is legitimately unhinged.
We about to turn it up.
Oh my!
Sparkle's got so many tools in his arsenal.
Sparkle tearing through them again. Meteor strike into it as well. Oh my god! He denies it! This is absurd.
Oh, he is so good at video games.
No one can really stop Sparkle right now. And he does it with the remake as well. And Sparkle saves what could have been a rough fight for the fuel again.
What a ridiculous play from Sparkle. The remake and the self-destruct. Are you kidding me? I mean, Sparkle, this is definitely going in the movie reel. Going to be paying an editor to try and collect all those clips up.
Can anyone stop Sparkle?
There's the pulse bomb. Sparkle with another 3 kills, make it 4.
I mean, that is insane. Sparkle pushes all the way into the enemy spawn and...
What?
Oh no!
That's both supports.
You better believe it. Sparkle has a Death Blossom, trying to bring it down.
Sparkle comes out on the Soldier 76.
Sparkle is an absolute beast.
Now, Sparkle's arrival to the league was, excuse me, well heralded, to say the least. Many fans had already been built in his name during his time at Element Mystic, but what we maybe didn't realize is that this now role star would carry or help Dallas through some really awkward roster situations, right? Exy was supposed to be on this team and really be piloting so many of those hit scan roles, but Dallas got it done without him. They didn't replace Exy, no. They just made it work with Doha and Sparkle.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that a lot of people were worried about with this team. I mean, I was as well. I think just most of the community is at some point, usually during every Owl season, there's a point where hit scan becomes something you absolutely need, whether it was like a Cowboy, Widowmaker, Ashe in previous seasons. This year we never really had a meta that was dominated or really needed for one of those. So a part of it works out in their favor. You know, the meta is pretty open this year and you can get by with a lot of different things. But I also think Sparkle and Doha, when needed, have stepped up in such a huge way to be able to, maybe in less ideal situations, play things at an extremely high level to make this work for the team.
Now, the map selection here is Hanamura. That, of course, is the Atlanta Reigns choice. We know it's strong for them, but our Xfinity map leaderboard would indicate that, well, the Dallas Fuel, at least in years gone by, have been extremely confident and comfortable on this map. The problem is that the 2020-2018 squads look barely anything like this one. So,
yeah, I mean, I'd be looking for, like, where's the Paris Eternal?
Well, Atlanta is on the receiving end of a proper booming from the Glads on this map as well, in fairness. Yeah. But this is the Atlanta Reigns pick. It works with their style. We've seen how they make it happen. Now, San Francisco played Lucio Baptiste. They played rush defense on this map, but we've seen the Atlanta Reign do use that Echo, right? Pelican plays Echo. They really play above the choke. They make it really, really hard for teams to push through. So keep an eye on this. It might just be a Baptiste Orisa. That makes more sense, because without the Lucio, you need a Mercy for your...
Dallas could play what the Shock opted to do, and what we saw Dallas try to do a little bit during the games against Shanghai yesterday, where they play not exactly what they're playing right now, very close, but Sparkle on the Reaper, potentially. So you could see something like that come out. We've seen teams go to this, whether Dallas tried to run it with a ball, which didn't look great. The Shock have run it with the Winston, which I think has looked a little bit better.
I mean, let's make it very clear. If Dallas come out on this particular composition, it's as hard to play against the really, I guess, reliable healing and durability of the Atlanta Reign composition, not to mention the fact that Kai can sit in the background and Pelican can play from the sky. There's very little that Dallas have that directly interacts with Pelican outside of Doha hacking him and trying to clip his wings. So Dallas needs to be lightning quick through this choke.
And they play Tracer with it. So they opt to not play the Sim, not play Reaper, play a Tracer with it. So this is kind of like, you almost see teams run like a ball with this and play a different support line, but a little bit of a hybrid comp here.
All right, so Doha snuck in here. He was left in the choke. Look at that! Oh! The hack on Masa! Is there follow-up? Oh, it's beautiful! Perfect setup here for the Dallas Fuel, but now they've got to fight to finish. They get rid of the Mercy, but there's still Iris in play. That's a hack on towards Gator here as Doha is trying to coordinate the team on their next focus target, and that is just astonishing. Fantastic execution from Dallas. Now it's about the cleanup.
I think that's what a lot of it comes down to with some of these teams is that maybe you have the right comp, the right idea, but you can't execute it to a high edge level as Atlanta can execute some of their stuff. But right there, Dallas was perfect. Almost 6 minutes on the clock. We can take a look from Doha's POV here as well.
You can't do anything about that. You're getting hacked as Mercy. You don't have time to pull out the Glock and get them. You also can't get out of line of sight easily at all there.
I gotta say as well, I think Jexa has played a pretty good series thus far. Obviously pretty early, but I think there's sometimes where you see him die early in some of these fights. Can't afford that here against a game like Atlanta, a team like Atlanta. And at least early, he's been huge in some of these fights, using the speed, getting behind, really being a disruptor.
He came into his own in the May Melee and the June Joust, especially. Sparkle finds, he's found by
Pulse
Kai,
Bomb's
rather.
gone.
Yep. No Pulse Bomb on the Coalescence here. Looks a little fizzled. Immortality Field is going to allow the rain to weather that Storm. Speaking of Storm, Kai looking for more.
And let's see if these switches by Atlanta kind of forces Dallas Fuel to make some changes. Yeah, so they go over to Reaper, so when the Torb comes out, Torb a little bit better, especially with Reinhardt, can battle up close. That's actually long range.
In fairness, he was aiming for Sparkle at least, which is more than we can say for some Hangzhou kills we see.
Yep, that's true.
Again, Dallas don't have a great way to access Kai. That is just the reality of the situation. There's no Symmetra. Obviously, Reaper can teleport. They've all been spotted though, and here comes the Dragon. Oh dear. Fearless taking the brunt of that damage right now, and Massa make sure they clean up.
Nothing they can do to even really help him, right? So
they're looking for a catch here. An EMP maybe?
An EMP.
No way.
Doha,
yeah. Doha's like, no, listen. Not today.
They probably thought about it. Like, if they didn't lose Jexa, like, could you EMP there and charge right in? You would have had a self-destruct potentially to use there. It's possible. But once you lose Jexa, you have to back out.
It depends how good the Atlanta Reigns protocols are for that kind of situation, because there's no way they're expecting it, right? So your instinctive response would dictate how that fight would go. All right, Doha, he's back in again. Hawk is studiously checking every corner. Doha is having to play it safe. Okay, Hawk's hacked here. Is that enough, though? Kai's already been picked off. Hawk can't chase Fearless to try and peel for his backline. The Sombra hack is really setting these fights up, and Iris is taken down by the bomb. Fearless made it impossible to hide away from that, but there's much more to be done. Pelican is a problem, Matt. Oh, he's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you do not want to get up close and personal with the Torbjorn, especially with the overload. They feel like it's winnable, that fight, and they end up investing the EMP, and this may be more of the reason why they invest some of those ultimates. They decide to make a change, so Dallas will end up playing the May composition with the Reinhardt in the sim, so they go back to a rush here versus Atlanta.
Not too shabby, Pelican. Oh, yeah. Okay, dude. Okay, so Moira Lucio, the Doom Fist has now been integrated. And the sim.
Rally here available for Atlanta.
Sound barrier. Shatter from Gator catches Fearless. Here's the Dragon Strike. Pretty well placed, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be Fearless taken down by Gator, though, and the Atlanta Reign are really staking their claim to this high ground. Spark was able to find the one kill, but that's all she wrote.
And they just take so much damage during the fight. Dallas Fuel, right? You get up here, even if you have the Doom and whatnot, you're getting poked down from the side by the Torb turret, the Hangzhou arrows just through this choke. It's really difficult to get anything going on. That is nice.
I think Gator might have been attempting to reposition there, but he'll take that for sure. Not too shabby now. Okay, Dallas are playing Baptiste Brig here. Guess they don't fancy the speed boost, but the durability in a standard fight, right? That's what they want here. Ooh, that Immortality Field gets stretched to its very limit, but it does its job.
Yeah,
Dallas is still whole.
There's no answer for some of this, like, if they can't close the gap, right? Atlanta, especially with the Lucio in the mix, right, can just kind of kite this, and you will just take so much damage over time, right? From the Batiste, the Torb at range. Here's an Amp Fire strike by Gator. Kick things off, and that is beautiful.
Spot on from the Atlanta Reign there. The Amp Matrix, they start the fight. Again, they have the mindfulness to take an opportunity here to be proactive, even when they're the ones waiting for Dallas to come to them. And Jackson says, I'm not playing Brig here. We can't respond to these kind of hijinks from the Atlanta Reign. Back to the Lucio now, and again, we've seen a few different looks here. Dallas haven't cracked the code yet.
Now Pelican away from Tor.
Okay.
And he'll go to Doomfist of his own. So now we're at a full-on mirror matchup.
Reposition from Dallas, and Matrix is down, and Sparkle, he's got himself in the cookie jar, and Iris has been taken down. Rocket Punch doesn't connect, but Pelican was already removed. Sparkle now is going to return to the fray as quickly as possible, and he's chasing Masa. Nothing to be done. He's uppercut into next Tuesday. And Sparkle should be in a decent spot to clean up, but Kai and Hawk trying to hold the line here for the Reign. Now he pushes into Iris again. Sparkle needs to respect the damage Iris can do in this fight, and Pelicans return to the fray.
Is it enough with the respawns coming in here for the Atlanta Reign? Now you have Kai here with this sim wall. Now you got everybody back here for Atlanta. They do end up, looks like, giving up a little bit more than a tick.
That might be relevant for Dallas here. One more shot. TP to the high ground now. They're going to drop down. Fearless has a shatter. Keep an eye on it. Okay, it's going to catch Hawk, but not Gator, and he's going to slap Fearless about with that hammer. Iris has been removed here, which is crucial, but Dallas have also lost their Baptiste, so this will be a quick fight now without those immortality fields being relevant. Sparkle, okay, gets rid of Kai, and Pelican's going to get worked out by Doha. Dallas might have an opportunity here. Harmon's gotten rid of Gator. He's low. Hawk's going to be able to pressure him down, and the reinforcements don't seem to be forthcoming. Harvey wants to dip off. He thought about maybe going under the bridge for a health pack, but he probably realized there was no chance of that. That's close. Atlanta really getting pressured there, but I mean, whew, they look good on Hanamura. So, that defense is tight.
I was going to say, so they did not look good on their point A defense, but once we got to point B, they had the answer every single time. No matter what Dallas switched to, Atlanta knew exactly what they were going to move off of their composition to next to stop it. So they put up a great defense there on that second point.
Well, you have to think that the Atlanta Reign have screamed against the fuel many times. You know, especially during the regular season and leading into Hawaii, a lot of the Western teams are probably trying to put their heads together and come up a way to sort of be dominant in that international competition. Of course, our Pick'em Lives are on at the moment, live.overwatchleague.com, and you can answer that question: who has the most environmental kills in the playoffs? It's a tough one. Divas and Lucio's there. Good luck to you. What do you think, Matt? Who has the most environmental kills? Masa, Hanbin, Void, Jexa.
I would say
attackers incoming
in the playoffs. Could be Void. I feel like we've seen a decent amount of like Diva knockoffs from people.
Okay.
I think that may be a little bit of a bait trying to get people to go towards the Lucio. So
Matt obviously is not responsible for your pick'ems getting boomed as a result of using his answer.
No.
Just going to indemnify it.
And if you use my answer and you get it wrong, don't tweet me.
Matt likes a clean timeline.
I was put on the spot. Hey, your timeline's always clean if you don't look at it, right?
All right, just like the laundry basket, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrible at doing laundry.
All right, Dallas here have the rush composition with the Mei. Doha really quite exceptional on this Mei pick. Very impactful on Lijiang Tower earlier on. But here's the TP. Off we go. Okay, not quite to the point. A staging ground set up here for the Atlanta Reign just outside of point A.
It's kind of like a Lijiang Tower all over again, right? With the compositions, and you're essentially just fighting over this one control point.
Waiting for like a TP shatter.
Yeah.
Okay, turret's been put up there. Gator gets walled. It's not perfect, but Gator's being knocked out of position. I think Fearless is just holding him one there. Good immortality kill from Iris, but Hanbin is so sharp. He sees that straight away and just gets rid of it.
Yeah, those sim turrets, they may not do a ton of damage like all the time, but the slow added to it is just
on a Reinhardt.
On a Reinhardt is so annoying, because you saw there from Gator, he was actually trying to back around the corner and like kite some of that damage, but he's slowed by the sim turret, so they have to use the immortality field early, and they're able to blow it up, and still he's getting hit by those, not able to make it out.
All right, attempt number 2. Bait the TP, move in and try and catch Doha, who had to ice block here. I mean, he's in trouble. All right. Okay, he actually gets away from that one. Nicely done. Here's that wall. And Matrix off the left-hand side, and Fearless is TP'd forward. The Symmetra wall is great. Fearless is very wary about pushing past it here, but Doha's been picked off. Hawk's mech, and he can't get back in. He's removed despite the self-destruct having been activated, but the Dallas Fuel are on the attacker side of the point now. They've got to make their way back, and Sparkle tries to do that expeditiously, no less. The teleport sends him on a collision course with Masa.
And if things get any more dangerous, they do have this sound barrier to use, but Dallas looks like they're in a good spot. Oh, Kai uses the TP.
They read it.
Yeah, and they take him out right away.
Like an absolute book. Kai picked off there, Jex's sound barrier. Can he get a good use out of this? Okay, the Blizzard's going to be tough for Hanbin. He's going to go for a self-destruct, and he might even be able to get the mech back. Oh, the beat is perfectly timed from Jexa in the end. Maywall thrown up, though, as the Atlanta Reign fancy a bit of privacy on the point, but Dallas, they're gregarious. They want to get back involved, back in the fight. And it's Gator being picked off. There's no Reinhardt in play right now, and crucially, Iris went down.
And you saw how low there that Doha got. He was actually taking some sim shots, some secondary fires through the amp matrix from Kai at a distance. Had to be so careful, but Atlanta relying on the shatter coming up here from Gator. We'll see if he can land a big one, because really nothing on either team outside of this.
No support odds for Atlanta. That is brutal, particularly in their case now with 1 minute left to go. A furrowed brow here for Kai as the Reign try and find a weakness. Point of entry. Okay, Maywall comes up here. Symmetra Wall's also in play. It's going to be Hanbin caught. Can the Fuel intervene? No. Hawk sends him straight off the edge of the map. Gator gets an immortality fuel. That was a little bit early, perhaps. Let's see the follow-up. It's Sparkle that burns Gator down, but the Reign have the numbers and they're making it look good. Jex is going to be able to get away from the Blizzard for the time being, but the Reign have the numbers on the point, and he just gets caught mid-air by Pelican. And that will be point A taken. Not easy at all for Atlanta, but now their win condition is set.
Still, though, I know Dallas holds on to where it's below 30 seconds. Good defense here from Dallas as Gator lands a shatter. Hawk with a nice use to the deep mech. Just knocking Hanbin off the side. So I was saying, man, these divas with the environmental kills, we've seen a few of them now throughout the playoffs. So this is going to be scary for Dallas. Just the amp matrix here to work with.
So they have the Symmetra still, of course, in the main. So TP to relocate if they need to. I'm not sure who they'd send across there. Maybe Iris. The Arena going to TP point. Yeah. The old-fashioned way. Keep it simple. Remember, only need 44.5%. Excuse me. Hanbin's going to be desuited already. An amplification matrix here from the Dallas Fuel, but that sim wall just shuts it all down. This is looking pretty primo from the Atlanta Reign now, man.
Yeah, big ultimate advantage going into that fight there, and they do a nice job. They TP directly to the point. What do the Dallas Fuel have to work with? An amp matrix. Kai drops the sim wall, splits off any of that. Players have to walk on to the point, and Atlanta able to take advantage.
Well, the Atlanta Reign get their objective here. They choose Hanamura knowing they're probably favored to win that kind of map. A lot of craziness with Symmetra turrets. And the Dallas Fuel just run out of gas there on point A.
I'm really interested in where Dallas decides to go for Hybrid coming up next. Like, do you want to take this to Kings Row against a team like Atlanta? Or do we see them go with something like a Numbani or an Eichenwald? There are a few options here for the Dallas Fuel.
Stick around, everybody. This one is just starting to heat up. It's one apiece here in this lower bracket final between the Reign and the Fuel. You'd be out of your mind to be anywhere else.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
we are dropping some serious loot for Grand Finals this year. Be sure to tune into the Watchpoint pre-show on September 25th. That's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, all right? Tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. Pacific to earn the exclusive Grand Final spray, which I believe is done by Sen. Fantastic artist. Her work is really, really cool. 6 Overwatch League skins and 100 League tokens. That's a loot, but I think Carl Carlson would definitely encourage you guys to get involved in that.
Yeah, he would. He would definitely say this is a good deal.
Selling you Persian rugs at clearance prices, and of course some great loot for the final. I mean, you all want to tune in anyway because we got some sick Overwatch 2 news to show you, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be incredibly exciting, incredibly fun for tomorrow. So I was wondering before we went to break what hybrid map the Dallas Fuel would select. They actually have decided to go to Kings Row. So this is one where I was wondering, I was like, do they opt to play this versus Atlanta? We had just seen Atlanta play it versus the Shock. This is a map that you can play a lot of Reinhardt, a lot of Rush, but Dallas Fuel feels like that composition is working for them right now. Maybe that's what they want to keep playing here against Atlanta.
It was still a close affair on Hanamura. No two ways about it. Again, with the May and the Symmetra, these fights can become extremely volatile, and as well drilled as the Atlanta Reign and the Dallas Fuel respectively are at this composition, sometimes you can't control every variable in fights when they break down to that level. It comes to an individual and an instinctive way of trying to win those fights. Kings Row. I mean, we might honestly get a map pool that favors both of these teams regardless of the pick here.
Look, if Dallas is this content with playing pretty much mirror matchup style against Atlanta, you may end up with some interesting map selections throughout this. This is a different look, though. Dallas potentially on defense, going to go with the Wrecking Ball composition Tracer Sombra with the Zen Break. So it's the first time we've seen like the compositions really vary in terms of one team wanting to play an aggressive style of like dive versus the other team who may opt for a rush.
All right. I mean, this is maybe a similar idea as what we see on Volskaya nowadays, right? Where teams fancy a Wrecking Ball on defense because it lets them stall, and maybe this more mobile composition can get back into the fight a little quicker. One thing's for sure, no Baptiste to jump up into Kai's side, so that you best believe he's looking. Oh, he's looking. Come on, bro. Please, just one more, man. This is my Masters promo game, bro. Nothing.
So I think this will be very interesting of what Atlanta goes to now. Let's see. So, Hangzhou Torb. Okay. So, Hangzhou Torb with the Orisa set up. So, this is very anti-dive. I'm curious to see how this works, right? Because this would even kind of give you some indication on how Atlanta would play potentially for Shanghai. If Atlanta were to win this and Shanghai's watching, right?
I mean, this has got to be really positional now, right? Kai has good sightlines. There's no shield outside of Jex's to stop him. I think the Dallas still have to outmaneuver if they're going to win here. It's a tough ask.
Well, I was going to say, so Dallas Fuel, if you play this competition to perfection, probably has the advantage. The thing I say there is you have to play it pretty perfectly or else Atlanta's going to take advantage of it.
Doesn't it mean they have a disadvantage if they can only win by doing it perfectly?
I mean, yes, I guess in a way. I think, though, there's like multiple ways you can attack that if you're the Dallas Fuel, though, right? Multiple ways to go about it. I also think Dallas is a little bit more reliant on the ultimates to win some of these fights against this type of comp than Atlanta is, right? You need the minefield, EMP, spread people out. So yeah, so it yanks the supports. I mean, that is, you have zero chance of winning a fight if that happens, so.
So no changes, though, here outside of the Doomfist. Okay, so no Tracer, which is fair, because there's a Torb you want to deal with. So Sparkle on the Doom. Not many DPS players bust this out at times like this. It feels, not sure if that was on purpose. Either way, no harm, no foul. Oh, okay, that wasn't on purpose either. He's got to go for the Adaptive Shield and the Minefield he throws down. Okay, Muscle's caught amidst that field, and Hawk actually loses his mech to it, so it ends up being pretty darn effective in the end.
It didn't look like a great one, but I believe some players actually get knocked into it for Atlanta, but Atlanta's still moving the cart. You have Iris still here with his Immortality Field, Gator and Pelican as well. It's going to be tough to dislodge these players.
You have to wonder, how things could have been maybe if Dallas had an earlier switch back to something more like what Atlanta are playing.
One thing if you're Atlanta, you're not going to get a mirror matchup in something like this, right? You're not gonna see Dallas bring out the Orisa. They're going to opt for something else.
They did it once. They did it once in like the June Joust on Havana, I think. Spark was playing Genji, but no, you're right. Oh, they're not going to do it. Okay, 5 players hit with that EMP though, so even though Doha goes down, it's a job done. There's more work to be done. It's a 5v5 right now. The Dragon Strike comes through, but it was Hanbin with the real fireworks as Irish and Gator fall.
So Dallas gets a hold. They needed to use that EMP and Transcendence to do it. So some big ultimates used to get that hold. Can you? This will be a test for Atlanta. You know, when you're the team with this composition that is stationary, that is allowing the players coming to you. It's a little bit easier to play versus this. How did they deal now going into the Dallas Fuel comp?
My guy threw the U-est of turns. All right, the Dallas Fuel, yeah, right. Composition, okay, Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, let's see. They're going to go up to the high ground of the Hoofenhorn. That's the rally from Jexer. So the Fuel are ready to fight him. Whoa, Gator! Yeah, he rolls the dice and he gets the jackpot there, Matt.
And that Molten Core is directly underneath him there, so you can't exactly push it and try and finish him off. Walking into that is...
Gator's shield is low from the mines.
Gator's shield, unfortunately for Gator, is going to be always low in this type of comp.
Nice from Pelican, though. He's managed to get rid of Hanbin after the deal. Okay, that is just nuts. Jexer stopped in his tracks from a rivet to the head, and it's going to have to be a Transcendence from Fielder. Meteor strike there from Sparkle. Kai and Pelican both round on him.
And this is where you kind of miss, potentially, for Dallas Fuel, right? Like, they're not going to pull out a Hanzo. They're not going to pull out, like, a Cowboy and play a composition like that that's going to punish, you know, the shields. Their options are to play shield compositions themselves or to play aggressive and push past them. They don't really have an option to kind of play that neutral.
Power driver to the high ground here as Hanbin shepherds everybody with that defense matrix. And ooh, look at this. Does Fielder know he's been spotted? Must have, surely. EMP catches under 5 players here, but Iris was unaffected. The Immortality Field comes down, but Pelican was not in a position to have his life prolonged. Sparkle's down as well. Iris doing some serious work in that fight. He saved the rain for sure. Shatter. Oh, Hanbin said, beam me up, Scotty. I want none of that. But eventually what goes up must come down. Straight on top of Kai. Hanbin trying to back up now, but there's no burst healing in this Dallas Fuel composition, so it's going to take time for the tanks to be topped up. And that's time that the Rain can use to propel themselves forward. Dallas are going to go for a once more, though. It's going to be a Molten Core dropped on the card. A Dragon Strike also thrown to try and punish Dallas for challenging. Self-destruct gets dropped over the edge and it catches Pelican's turret and nothing more. Look how much space the Fuel are giving. Until now, the mines are out and that's a hacked Reinhardt.
And Dallas wants to end these fights fast with the composition they're running and the healing output that they have. So the longer these fights exist and drag on, the more they have to invest it in terms of ultimates, but also that's better that it gets for Atlanta with the Torbjorn damage, the Hanzo, and the healing output they have.
Really feels cumulative, right, over the course of a fight. Obviously, Iris can have a lot of throughput in a longer engagement. Dallas are shocking or in the fight early or not at all. Kaya will be denied that perch. He'll climb back up in his own time, but Gator's been removed. What a great pick.
Those are the kills they want, right? Where they can go in, burst down Gator, get out.
This is a tough job, trying to run this Ryan against the ball from here.
When they exist for a long time and they do not get those early pickoffs, that's when Atlanta gets the upper hand. For Dallas now, you've got some ultimates, though, to work with, right? You got the Transcendence, you have the EMP specifically. We'll see where Doha tries to set up for this.
Hawk is scouting for the Sombra. Last EMP was a big one from Doha. Dragon Strike, and he translocates away. Okay, Sparkle gets caught by that one, so maybe that's the call just to get out and wait for one more fight, or does he stop Manetrax now? Lights out for the Atlanta Rain, but Iris again wasn't affected. He's able to deliver that Immortality Field. It's going to be removed, and the Transcendence buys the Fuel enough time, but again, they want short fights, not drawn out. Once it there is the Shatter. Fielder knocked to the ground, and Kai going to make light work of those prone targets. Self-destruct blocked for the most part, but Iris is going to be caught by it. He's at an awkward angle. We're inside of a minute here, but Doha can only stall for a moment, and the Rain get home.
All right, so they do complete the map. I think this poses more questions for what we see Dallas go with on offense. You know, Atlanta can run some of the Orisa, they can run some of the Reinhardt, same compositions. On defense, yet again, Dallas, what do? Do you try and play this wrecking ball look? Is that kind of what you thought you could do on this map, right? Take them to King's Row, maybe play a little bit more aggressive with the wrecking ball and gain an advantage. That didn't seem to work. They had to go to a Doomfist composition. Maybe they try and play something like a center around an Echo here on offense. They have options, right? It's just that I don't know if they're going to try and run this ball comp yet again.
I think Dallas are probably discussing that as well. You know, we know they spent a ton of time in the lead up to these games practicing the stuff that they just didn't feel good on, right?
And this is a come from Atlanta, right? Like I was mentioning for Dallas, they don't have an option of playing something like this, right? They can't play Tracer Cowboy. They just can't do it. But
then we saw Sparkle play Cowboy once, right? Or he duplicated one.
Yeah, we saw mostly when they had to go to hit scan, he was actually playing the 76.
That's right. And that looked kind of good. It really sort of bridged the gap for them. Yeah, unfortunate.
Just a bit unluckers.
Well, look, the Dragon does cut off a lot of those flanking routes.
Maybe he thought he was going to kind of like, clip the edge and get that fast movement around the corner and get away from it, but just maybe miss it by a bit.
Yeah, if Jaws cues us into Doom parkour in ranked, I'd leave. I leave the party.
I mean, I leave as soon as I see Jaws in the party. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Shame you couldn't do that. The tower takedown, huh, buddy?
Oh, I tried.
Okay. We have double bubble from the Dallas Fuel, and Zaya makes her appearance here. Okay, Hardman.
And Doom Hanzo.
Oh, my feelers. That is filthy stuff. He takes a heck of a lot of damage, but he does his job right. He really throws a spanner in the works here for the Atlanta Reign, and Sparkle's there just to capitalize.
Well, look, and if the shield goes down for Gator or Defense Matrix is gone, you load up the Storm Arrows and you fire him through that choke, and you're going to hit something. Fearless, he gets blown up fast. I mean, he takes a ton
And there wasn't even an immortality field, right? He had to. I think it had to be a defensive biotic grenade from Fielder for sure, but I don't know how they kept Fearless alive. That is mind-blowing.
Oh, all right. So Dallas with a really good offense here thus far. Atlanta, I wonder if this is what you stay with for an extended period, right? Okay, so they get Sparkle on the entry.
I mean, you have McCree and Tracer to deal with the Doomfist, right? That's pretty nasty.
The only things you're kind of thinking up here is, like, could you drop the Lucio for a break, potentially, right? I even think you can make an art, like, do you want Pelican to play something like an Echo here, right? Echo would be pretty solid to get into the back line, make an issue for Fielder and Doha.
Are you sure you can't just play Tracer here?
No, you can. I mean, you can definitely play the Tracer. I'm saying if it did not work again, what do you go to?
What are the legs? That would also be okay.
Just consistent damage. We've seen teams go to Cowboy and the 76.
All right, Pelly. He's hunting. Whoa! Sparkle just had to walk straight into the enemy there.
Hawk with an... Yep. He got the big blizzard onto Nero, right, that he ate at the end of the shock game. This one with the big dragon now that Doha was trying to set up. And now you don't have the dragon for the grab.
Now, Hawk is metless. There might be an opening here, a window. So here's how that goes down. Immortality field there for Gator. Oh, and the shatter. Insult and injury. Okay, Hawk died, so he didn't get it back into his mech. He was 99% to mech there. There was a window for the Fuel to punish here. Pelican now trying to see what he can do, but really, this fight's over. Okay, buddy.
Is he going to get out?
Little nasty with it.
Yeah, a little clean with it. But they ended up having to use grab there, right? So you got grabbed out. You didn't have to use your beat if you're Atlanta. So looking at a little bit of a positive from their side. This should be a big fight, though, for Dallas. You have Sound Barrier, Nano. You have Primal here. Meteor Strike. This is a good amount of ultimates to push him over the line.
In goes Sparkle straight away. He's in with the nano boost now just to make sure he can't get picked off on the backside. And it's going to be Gator, the first casualty here. Sparkle tries to line Pelican up with a rocket punch, but he just skitters past him, and Kai lines him up. Bit of clay pigeon shooting now for the Cowboy, and he makes it too. Jexa falls, and the Dallas Fuel are falling over themselves to get out.
Some big kills from Kai there. So every time we've seen him on one of these hit scan heroes, his aim has been as good as advertised, right? I mean, you talk about some of the best aimers And I know in the world, I mean, he is up there with the way he shoots.
It's him and Fitz in the league right now, I think, as Cowboy players. But it's the astonishing frequency with which Kai finds these headshots, right? Especially with the changes to hit scan at longer ranges now, you need to hit those heads, and not many teams are taking the risk.
I'm always amazed with his consistency as well. Like, it always seems like, you know, whenever he makes these switches, like, it's not like he kind of comes out with these crazy plays sometimes. He's always hitting, and another time that they're able to get Gator out of the fight early.
Pretty clear to see that they're not really saving the Dragon for the Graviton Surge. It's not a win condition that Dallas are banking on. They just let that one go there, and it kind of does its job. It sections the Atlanta Reign into two.
Push Gator out of the way, right? You're able to jump on him with that Doomfist, make a play. So this should be Dallas being able to get this second checkpoint. Atlanta will stay on this for now. So it seems like Atlanta feels like this composition is good enough to get the job done.
Maybe they're right here. Hawk's been doing a very good job of shutting down some of these key ultimates, and there's a Graviton Surge on the horizon. I mean, that's a headshot on a Lucio. Really very difficult to do at that range.
That's far as well.
Yeah.
Man, that is...
Dallas have nothing that approximates
that. Kills any type of momentum, though. I mean, Dallas now will play, you know, Ryan Zarya here.
Pelican is looking for the respawn right now. The Lucio to come back. Gator here with a bionic grenade, though. What a sleep. That's a big one. Kai could still be an issue here. But the rest of the Reign have been run out of town for sure. Their lawman, not enough to keep them in it.
All right, so they nano Fearless, and look at he's able to build up to a Shatter right away.
Grab Shatter, Sound Barrier, Dragon.
This is looking really good for the Dallas Fuel. So Pelican goes over to Hangzhou here. So it looked like he was going to play the May for a second, but they'll play Hangzhou and the Cowboy.
Off we go. Hamir, he just lets that go. It's scary stuff, but it connects. And that's going to be 2 kills with the Dragon Strike. Fearless is going to keep the shield up. He stands steadfast as Gator tries to get in his face. Doha, 3 kills and a DMEC for this fight, and that still might not do the job. Gator still stands, and he's a pain, but that's beautiful stuff. The headshot on Hawk to take him down, and now Pelican hastily trying to take the higher ground. But Doha's trying to get this bus home.
Pelican's been behind them on the high ground, just doing so much damage. And he's able to pick up enough kills. And the other players on Atlanta able to withstand enough to stay alive. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Unbelievable. Some incredible Hangzhou play from both sides here. The Fuel need a little more than that to end the map, though.
Beat for both sides. Shatter here available from Fearless. Can you get like the Shatter off and maybe get a Sound Barrier out early before you have to? You're also going to have the Nano here from Fielder, which should be huge.
It is going to take a play to be made here. Dragon Strike, Dallas respect this. They just want to finish the map with some time at this stage. They need to have some time. That's the Nano on the Fearless. Look at him charge forward. Gator needs the Immortality Field straight away. So Fearless says, job done. We force these huge support cooldowns. The Shatter is wayward. Doesn't connect with any targets, but Fearless is just trying to get within striking distance. Sparkle not sure where to throw the Meteor Strike, and Gator is the target. The punch is good. He's not quite knocked off the edge, but the Dragon Strike comes through and cleans Master up. Where's the Cowboy? Kai trying to hide behind, but Harmon is a little too sharp. He catches him with the defense matrix, and a paltry 9 seconds separates the two teams.
Yeah, there, Hawk tried to make a play. He actually goes past everybody on Dallas, almost kind of like gives up a few of his teammates and tries to go for Fielder. He gets the kill on the Fielder, and I think the logic there is like, well, I'm not going to be able to save any of my teammates. If I let the Ana just heal at range, we're going to lose no matter what. If I double back, kill the Ana, maybe I can make it back to the card. He actually gets DMAC'd, or else he probably would have made it back to the card, but he tries to make it back, not able to do so because you would have had like a Moira coming off spawn. Maybe there's enough without the Ana in play for Dallas to keep that going, but nice push there from Dallas to get that over the line.
I am curious to see how Dallas play this, especially on their defense, but the Atlanta Reign, we expect no changes, right? This really hostile, anti-sort of dive composition. Here's Doha. This is that sick fight that he had that wasn't quite enough. So Dragon gets thrown in there. I mean, it's just a it's a grab for the ages.
He kills the
yeah, the Cowboys trying to iron over there. So yeah. But at this level, even all this kills Hawk.
Yeah.
Not enough to win the fight. Pelican doing much the same job elsewhere.
Just being a nuisance.
And he gets forced out of position there, and then he still goes and kills another player. Okay. What do we got, Matt?
So Dallas opts to play the May composition with the Reinhardt. This gives them probably the best chance throughout an extended period of the match, right? Where they won't have to switch off if they take this point, right? They can kind of play this the entire map if they would like.
Pelican trying to get cute there through the Alderworth Hotel, the flank, but that's a wall come up. Doha needs to do some freezing, he needs to follow up, but that's a great pincer. But the Immortality Field is in just the right place. It keeps Kai alive, and he's able to backtrack here on the Cowboy and dish his special brand of death.
So they get aggressive onto the Dallas Fuel. Atlanta knows in like the short bites they have, you know, when the Sim's not able to ramp up, and the May is really trying to primarily freeze. There's not a ton of damage, right? That's when the Torb with the Overload in the McCree can have an advantage.
There's an air matrix here.
Already for Iris.
Yeah. Gator going to look for an insta-kill with a fire strike here, but Dallas are inside the hotel. It's Jexa down first. Kai with the air damage through the matrix is able to get rid of the Lucio. A perfect start for the Atlanta Reign, and now it's time to stick the landing. Fearless is removed, and that amplification matrix, Matt, did so much. Not only the Lucio kills, it's also a DMEC on Hanbin. Then Kai gets rid of Fearless. Iris had such a sick first fight, and they snowballed it.
Now if you're Dallas, what do you do on defense? You decided on the first defense to come out and play the ball type stuff, right, with Tracer Sombra. Do you want to try and play that again? I imagine Atlanta would go back and just play the Orisa composition with the Cowboy and the Torb. If you come out on the Rhine, I think Atlanta feels pretty good if you do that as well. I think this is, you know, like Josh mentioned, and I think it's been so interesting through these playoffs, more than any other season in the Overwatch League. It's like teams have distinct styles, and there's no one clear-cut style that wins out over the other. It seems like you kind of have to play a little bit of a mishmash of everything, where you have, when you make these map selections, these like stylistic differences between these teams, and just kind of forces you into odd situations. And really a game like this, right, is just a game of guess, where yeah, Dallas Fuel comes out with this composition here at the start. Atlanta has many options to take advantage of it.
And this is where it all begins, right? Kai makes
his aim is too good to try and do that.
Yep. Beautiful stuff. It's exactly what the Reign needed at that moment. So Dallas here are playing the safer look, right? Not taking any chances.
Mind you, this is a Dallas map pick. This would be a huge win here for Atlanta.
I will shape.
I think they're seeing what they're gonna run, and maybe there's some switch ups. No, they're just gonna go with it.
It's the mirror. So throwback to Hanamura
and Lijiang, right? This seems to be like kind of what this series is starting to coalesce around, right? This, Reinhardt Sim May look.
I'm not trying to use any crazy TPs yet. Dallas have taken the low ground to a degree, and Doha needs to be careful. He can get beamed. He's too far forward to the right shield. He got out of position. I'm not going to repeat what he just said. I know enough Korean to know what that was. He realizes he's made a pretty crucial mistake there. And look at this. The Reign want to go forward. They want to punish this now, Matt. They're a stone's throw away from winning this map. It's Dallas's map pick. They're going to be taking this to match point. If the Dallas Fuel can't hang on, Harmon is desuited straight into the beam. But Jexa finds his second kill. He gets rid of Gator after removing the Hawk.
And Sparkle's back on the Doom. Oh no, and it's Doha back on the Doom. As Sparkle, he has this sim wall. You're going to have one from Kai as well.
2 sim walls on the point. This is about to get extremely dicey. Teleport in the back, but Sparkle turns his head as just a bait. One tick is all that the Reign need on the point. The Fuel had to push up quickly. It's an Immortality Field now, but Fearless, that's run out. Sparkle's going to get hit by the Shadow, but there's a sound barrier in play, and Pelican's Blizzard is eaten up. That could be devastating. Fearless is brought down finally, though, and it's Sparkle to drop. The Immortality Field prolongs Gator's life, but here comes the Doom once more. Gator knocked up. Doha takes him down from the sky, but it's not enough. The Atlanta Reign are reading the riot act to the Dallas Fuel. They win on their map pick. They set up match point.
Atlanta is one map away from running the loser bracket all the way to the grand finals. Now, this is a team that, even coming into the season, like, we were not talking about being in this position. We weren't even probably talking about being in the previous match they were in against the Shock. And they have performed excellently, taking the Dallas Fuel now to match point.
Dallas now definitely reeling after that one. At least they get themselves another map pick here. It will be an escort map to select from, but that is a heavy blow they've been dealt by the Atlanta Reign. Dallas trying a couple different looks. Maybe it's time to just knuckle down on one of those compositions and make it work. Stick around, everybody. This series is insane.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
They were the gatekeepers, Matt, for the longest time. A team that did well against half of the league, but struggled to raise above their station. But that crown, they've been eyeing it off for a long time, and now they've decided it's time to reach out and grab it.
Yeah, you know, they have an interesting vibe about them, Atlanta. Just Just as a team, just like with the players, it's something I kind of think back to, and I can kind of relate to, is where you're a team that you don't really care for the other teams particularly. Yeah, it's really for Atlanta, it's not them versus Dallas. Atlanta probably feels like it's them versus the rest of the league. A lot of people kind of look at Atlanta as like a good team, right? But Pelican, right, gets Rookie of the Year, but none of the players get recognition for Role Stars. They've had a tremendous season. That every match they get is just a little bit of an opportunity to stick it to the rest of the league about where they think they're at as a team. And it's also that they're not going to surprise you. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you have to stop it and play against it. And everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knows what we're going to see, right? And teams still can't seem to do it.
That chip on their shoulder pales in comparison to the dent they put in Dallas in the last 2 maps.
Well, I think I saw Scott say Custa on Twitter, and I completely agree. I'm a little bit confused by the map pick of Kings Row for Dallas. You had Eichenwald and Mbani, 2 maps that you could have forced some really nice Winston-based compositions, verticality, right? Stuff that really
Dallas
bothers.
Play Eichenwald, they played Winston, they looked really good on it.
Stuff that really bothers rush-style compositions. Dorado here is a map that is kind of like that, right? Verticality, you can play some Winston. We saw Dallas try to play Genji against Shanghai on this. You just have to wonder, are some of these adjustments going to happen too late for Dallas, right? Because you will end up with another control map, right? We already saw Lijiang Tower. So, if Atlanta were to pick that, you have an option to go to, a map like Ilios, right?
Yeah.
Where it could be pretty bad for Dallas.
This wasn't a good map against Shanghai at all for Dallas.
No.
Atrocious, actually.
That is Shanghai. Shanghai seems to be on a crazy level right now. So,
but listen, I don't know. The cards are falling in the right spot here for the Atlanta Reign because, this is their best map type against Dallas. In fact, it's one of their best in general. 5-1 though against this team. That's all through the season. Dallas were really strong at some points through the season. They're still dropping these escort maps to the Reign. I'd be worried.
And we've, obviously with Atlanta on offense, still some time to make some changes. So Dallas looks like they're going to play, which is so odd because this is a composition Dallas is playing right now. You could have played on an Eichenwald. You could have played this on an Mbani, right? Which, probably would have given them a slight advantage. We'll see what Atlanta decides to do. I'm really interested. Do you see them play this? Because this is a new look for them, right? They weren't playing a ton of ball during the season. Is it something they decide to roll with? Sparkle's got to be so careful.
Kai with the early widow again. He's going to have to make the switch now. It's not too late for Dallas to reverse this situation at all. Let's be very clear about that. This is a composition that we'd like for them a lot.
I think, if Atlanta makes this work, I think it's really telling on where they're at as a team because this is not a team that would strike you as a wrecking ball type of team.
Right. So many teams are playing it to break the close hold, right? Not ideal for Sparkle there. He gets a little too low. Pelican trying to go for Doha by the looks of things. He's able to get out and harm into move. So the Rangers put their nose to the grindstones here on this first point, and Hawk actually reveals the Sombra there.
Yeah, but Fearless already with the benefits of a nano boost.
It's a bionic grenade from Fielder that sets it up in a huge way. Iris have nowhere to go. Fearless has found both supports now, and he's far from done. He's looking for Kai. The Diva's in. Oh! That wasn't to plan at all!
Kai actually gets, Kai and Pelican get both supports here for Dallas, so both supports gone for the Dallas Fuel. Fearless going to have to come back from the spawn.
He got body blocked and he couldn't see because the Diva mech in front of him, and I think Fearless just DI'd in the wrong direction. Look on his face said it all though, that's for sure. You'll need to unboom themselves if they can, but Kai's found the pulse bomb, and this is the snowball that they suffered against the Dragons. They need to stabilize somehow. Doha's EMP is pretty darn good, but there's not enough follow-up, and this is getting disastrous.
And you had the nano use here by Iris, and that's going to be a duplicate here for Pelican. This is looking good for the Atlanta Reign on this first point.
Self-destructed by a little bit of time here, but Iris beats Sparkle on the 1v1. The Dallas Fuel are losing control of this series, and the Atlanta Reign get that first checkpoint. It's a duplicated Winston for Pelican to secure, and we might have a switch there as well.
It looks like, okay, so he's going to play the Sombra, so they'll stall out Hanbin for a bit. And this is so interesting because the ball is not a composition that the Atlanta Reign ran a lot during the season. It's something they clearly had worked on within the few weeks coming in here. And look at this. I mean, they're going to play it with the Zen in the mix as well.
Okay, Atlanta. Again, this is the kind of thing we saw from Shanghai, the kind of thing that Dallas don't seem to prefer at all. Sparkle has that duplicate on deck, and Jex has just gotten his rally. Master uses his first, though, and Fearless has gone in with a Primal Rage. Gator, he's hacked. Beamed, dead. Okay, Sombra duplicate. Chance to build an EMP here if there's enough damage. He won't need to do that with Master and Iris out of the picture. Dallas have found a way back in, but they've used almost everything, Matt.
Yeah, he had to use the duplicate because he was so low. Pretty much to save himself. But Dallas will end up having their nano for this next fight. You'll be able to nano Fearless. You'll probably be able to farm up an EMP. Cart will continue to move, though.
Pelican just missing out on Harbin there. He had enough upward momentum to get himself on the barrier.
But he makes up time, yeah.
Okay, here's a Wrecking Ball in. Fearless is in trouble. Can he get away? Nice moves. Sparkle's able to trade here, but he gives up his life in order to get Master. Well, it's unclear if that's really going to be worth it now with the Transcendence in play from Iris and Hawk. Styles on Harbin with the remake. Kai can deal with this. He recalls away as Fearless jumps on out.
Atlanta will continue to push the cart. They don't have a ton of ultimates left here, but this stagger might be enough, right? You get rid of Fielder. It's going to take a bit for him to come back. Doha with this EMP should be massive, though.
His last one was really rushed. There was no follow-up. Now, he'll be able to EMP into a fight where ideally Dallas will all be present. Harbin's hacked straight away, but he's able to stall. He's taking a lot of damage, though. They can't heal him. They've lost the Demon Mech straight away.
With the EMP.
That's not good enough. Manual hack on Gator. Looks like a sleep dart was there as well. So getting the Wrecking Ball here would be excellent. But it's still going to take more than that. Fearless is wondering where his teammates are. They're busy trying to stall the card. There's a disconnect right now between Dallas. They're confused.
And it's going to be Hanbin using the self-destruct, getting a new mech. That's a huge kill there on Iris. He's a large source of the damage. You're going to get Masa out of this as well.
Talk about taking things into your own hands there. Absolute pandemonium for the Dallas Fuel as Fearless was well and truly out of position.
Look at this, though, Mitch. Dallas is actually going to go to Rhine. Did they stay on this? They're going to play the Rhine. And with this, you're going to have EMP minefield here for Atlanta. I wonder if this Reinhardt was just like a late second switch. Yeah, Fearless back to the Winston.
Maybe even for the charge to get them back to the point in time. Okay, so Nano Boost is on deck here for Fielder. Pelican could end this before it even begins. He's looking for those supports right now. All Fearless. Yep, defensive EMP. Fearless caught by that one. But he's going to get Nano Boosted. That's going to help him survive this, but not much else. Kai has a Pulse Bomb here. He's going to throw that at the windowsill, though. It doesn't connect with Harbin. Oh, no! The Dallas Fuel step off the card. And that's a cheeky little backup for the Atlanta Reign to set up the final stanza of this map.
So what was interesting is Gator actually uses the minefield up on the high ground over on like the left-hand side, let's say, when you're attacking. And that forces the players, what he wants them to do is obviously drop down and go into the EMP. They actually wrap further on the bridge and go all the way around and up the top here. So you see where they're playing from. And Hanbin gets hacked. And at that point, there's nobody else who can even take that fight.
I mean, there's no guarantee Atlanta win that fight at all. They've done very well to get the card across the line there. These manual hacks from Pelican. Starting to remind me of Lip a little here. Doha Opsa. That's not it. Okay. Ops to reveal himself there, and it's unclear why. Maybe hoping to just go into an EMP or force something like a shield bash. Either way.
Oh, they have Jex is so low.
Pulse from Kai. It connects. It wasn't a stick, but Jex moves back into it. It's all going wrong for the Dallas Fuel now. And there's almost a sense of fate about this one. Maybe in the stars it's written Atlanta are supposed to take this away. Dallas now need to subvert that reality.
EMP for Pelican if he gets this off early.
Doha goes first. He catches Pelican with it, but it's going to be a Transcendence in play to keep Pelican alive, and he'll be able to crack back. But Master falls. It's going to be a 5-player squad for the Reign to follow up on this EMP if it comes out. Instead, it's going to be Gator's Mines. Those don't get him any value, though, and it looks like the Reign are going to have to reset.
Yes, Atlanta decides to back out here. Hawk not in mech. This is going to be brutal. He's going to have to try and jump off the side here.
He can do that, and he will.
Yeah, it's just going to buy so much time here for Dallas. Just really nice patience letting that happen, because now you're going to have to wait another, like, what, 8-9 seconds? You're going to get really only one last shot here. Yeah. Gator's got to be careful.
Oh, they're going to hack on Sparkle as he tries to chase. He's in trouble. Can he recall? No, he can't. Oh, it's a crucial overextension there for the Dallas Fuel, Matt.
Trying to make a play. Does not work out. Rally available for Atlanta. This EMP from Pelican's got to be good.
Fearless on the high ground, drops down inside the bubble, and the EMP hits 4. Fearless is stunned up, and he's taken down immediately. There is a rally in play for Jexa, but it's going to take a heck of a lot more than that. Manual hack on the Kai, but he still has the protection of Hawk's mech. Hanbin leaves, he has to go for the self-destruct, and he has that return to him. We're coming into the last fight now, and the Atlanta Reign are awfully close to finishing the map. The Fuel only have a couple players to work with here. Valiantly, Hanbin trying to keep this going, but he's hacked. The self-destruct is dodged by Fearless, but he's knocked off the cart. Here comes Doha, the next up to the plate. He's so close to an EMP, he can smell it, but it's taken away from him. The rug pulled out from under him at the last moments. Jexa can barely touch here, and Fielder does no better. Recall has to be used by Sparkle to keep this alive, but eventually the Fuel succumb.
It's huge for Atlanta to get the map completion. No time in the time bank, but still it puts a ton of pressure on Dallas, that Dallas knows to extend their season, they have to finish the map. That just puts a large target in sight that they know is going to be difficult to achieve here. It's Atlanta. Now being the team that goes first here, right? You do have some options now, knowing the goal line. You have multiple ways you can decide to play with. You can play close up here at the cart, right, and just try and play for maybe thinking, hey, no, we have a great composition that we're going to go towards that third part of the map or the second part of the map. Let's play something at the start that is strictly to burn clock. We just want to sit on the cart, burn clock, play as long as possible. And it looks like Atlanta, they're going to come out with this yet again. So the break with the Zen. And the Tracer Sombra. This is a composition coming into the playoffs. A lot of people would say Atlanta Reign could not play this. That this would not be a composition that is their strength or something they could really do. But they looked really strong on it here against Dallas. We've seen them also run it against some other teams in the playoffs, and it's looked good as well.
I mean, Dallas don't look nearly as comfortable at all. They switch to the right at some point. They're trying to make this Winston comp happen. Look at that, 99. Now, whether it would have made a huge difference or not is unclear. This is Kai in those overtime moments, and he's just harassing. He just finds Doha from long range.
I mean, there's nobody dealing with him, right? Once that the break bash comes through, they don't finish him off. Nothing else after that. So Dallas, they do not want to play this ball comp. They want to play with that Winston, which makes the Kings Row pick even weirder, because if they wanted to play these Winston comps, they could have had an opportunity to do so on another map.
Masa is hacked here. Pelican doesn't quite find the manual on Hanbin, who's able to heal himself up. It's Sparkle a little low on the stairs, and Doha gets found out by Pelican, but he's a little too cagey. Doesn't want to hang around and try and secure Sombra on Sombra elimination.
They get a hack on the Gator, though, and finish him off, so that's big. It's a lot of the stall that you would have had for the cart. Nice biotic grenade there from Fielder. Connects with a few, so you're going to be able to get some cleanups here. So good first fight for the Dallas Fuel.
This is Doha's time. The Dallas Fuel's chances of winning this map rest so heavily on him against this Wrecking Ball comp. If he's going to shut down Gator, shut down Iris, he has to be playing the best game he's ever played.
They need it. They need somebody to turn up big time here. It's Fielder. He's got a nano. This will be on a Fearless.
Okay, manual hack on Hanbin there. So Fearless is going to be diving alone. Doesn't need any help though with the nano boost. He's already juiced to the gills, Matt.
Yeah, the rest of the Atlanta Reign, they kind of give up the supports in the back, but they're not picking up any kills on the cart. Stalling a little bit, so it'll be Dallas Fuel with a bit of a speed run there to that first checkpoint. And now for Dallas, you have a lot of good ultimates. You didn't really have to spend that much, right? You just ended up using the nano there to be able to take it, so you do have some ultimates to work with here.
We mentioned the Fuel have been able to go to another level in this playoffs, right, with how they've adopted some new compositions. That's just for Gator. Just for Gator. Hanbin has to follow it up on his own now because the EMP hits the rest of the Fuel, but Feeler gets 2 kills. Unbelievable stuff here. And Fearless doubles back to help him out. Now, they don't get Gator yet, but they go back for him after.
You can feel the momentum just building for the Dallas Fuel here, where if you're an Atlanta Reign fan, you need something to go your direction right now. Yeah, the EMP comes through from Pelican, but there's just too much already been done. You need a big play here if you're Atlanta.
Pelican trying to stall
This
here.
might be it, yeah.
Dallas are pushed up. They're trying to take a fight, but the cart's getting stalled. This does mean that the Atlanta Reign get cut in half, essentially. That's a stick. Self-destruct here from Hawk as he gets his mech back.
Doha on the cart, so the cart's no longer moving.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas need to make a decision. They need to make it fast. Going back to the cart seems to be the best play, and they do so, but Fielder's a little far forward.
So this is big from the sense that the Atlanta Reign gained a lot of the position. It looked like they were going to have to give up by dying early on the high ground.
They stopped the snowball.
Yeah.
They've averted it entirely, Matt. Such clever play from them. Fearless is hacked, by the way.
No
Sat in the middle of a
primal.
minefield. Okay, he's going to be able to stay safe, though. They're going to play inside. That's definitely where Fielder is very scary to deal with. Recall the high ground, and Pelican is being harassed. Oh, the shield bash is great from Jexa. It's not quite enough, though, to catch Pelican, but he doesn't have a translocator available.
That's a big pile driver.
Transcendence is forced by Iris. He needs to bring that out to keep his Sombra alive, so this EMP can come down. Fearless is hit with a Discord Orb right now, but he's being topped up by Fielder as we speak. Sparkle got the Discord after that. He's not so lucky.
Yeah, it's just can they keep everybody else alive? So much damage coming down. Hawk with the first kill on the Sparkle, and then being able to take out Fearless, but see how weak he's getting. Doesn't have much of the defense matrix, has to go up to charge it back up yet again.
Yeah, playing the off angle there looked pretty good, and getting the kill on Fearless is definitely crucial, but he had to double back. The Reign have to be careful here, not to let this get away from them. The Fearless left the card again, Matthew.
Yeah, they're trying to get some type of position up.
Hawk's done. No chance for, to get back in that mech at all. Gator's going to be forced away now. The EMP. It's just the tanks. Dallas realized that's where they need to aim to shut the Reign down.
Are they close enough to get the cart over the line from where they're at now, though?
Fielder, oh no! Yep, the body grenade's not enough to keep him alive. Fielder got a little bit ahead of himself.
You can definitely challenge now, I think, if you're Atlanta. They lost their Ana. You see Kai getting on there to contest. They're going to have to pop rally just to try and stay in it.
Iris and Hawk just took Sparkle down. It was mostly the Zen, if I'm honest with you, when he built the Transcendence with that kill. What a huge momentum shift coming up here for the Atlanta Reign. The Dallas Fuel are stopped short of that second checkpoint.
You may look at that kill from Kai onto Fielder as the one that saves this for Atlanta Reign. That kill is massive there. Fielder has the nano boost. That kill also forces them to try and use the rally to extend that, so you don't have rally now. And with 1:40 on the clock, you have an EMP. You're going to have a rally of your own if you're Atlanta. You can put Dallas in one-fight territory.
Pelican slaps! That's huge! He's not able to get away. No translocate, but somehow Kai, he's able to repeat the same on the other side of the map. Pelican looked like he clapped there because he realized that he got saved to a degree. Cartwheel encroach.
Well, he has an insane respawn advantage, right?
There's a nano here. Fearless does get it. Doesn't quite stick the jump. He needs to be careful of the whip shot, and now he's found himself the Zen. Iris tries to elude him, but those flying fists of fury won't be denied. Kai down now. Master's going to be knocked off the map if he's not careful now. That's exactly where Fearless is headed after the Brig. And Gator's brought down. Dallas have a real shot of having some time to work with, but either way, this is going to the wire.
Hey there.
Dallas will get that second checkpoint, 2:20 on the clock. If you're Atlanta, what you probably have to be kind of considering here is you have to know that Dallas has this EMP. Can you force a fight early to the point, right, where if you can force a fight in the next like 10, 15 seconds, you get this EMP out, you're in a position where you probably don't have to see it again at the end of the game.
EMP there, but Kai can't get away. He's in a bit of danger, but Pelican's having a trade. Able to find a kill on Doha at the very least here in the fuel. Yeah, they want to push up as much as they can. Great protection for Fielder from Hanbin there. Jexa wasn't afforded that same courtesy.
Right, but the cart's not moving. You have the two players from Atlanta, the damage dealers, who are picking up kills onto the payload. Now the payload will start to move, but like I mentioned, you probably don't have to see this EMP. Again, you might see it like very late at the end of the game, but you probably weather that storm from the Sombra. You come back now, you have your own Transcendence, your own EMP minefield, and only a 1:20 on the clock. So although it's a fight lost for Atlanta, they kind of accomplished their job of getting out that big ultimate.
Definitely not a high-value EMP. Here's the minefield. Gator throws it in, but he's hacked. He's going to have to try and trundle away, but he has the adaptive shielding. He'll be just fine. 1 minute remains. Dallas must finish the map. EMP catches Jexa. Fearless also. Here comes a bomb thrown in. No one's affected by that, and Fielder's going to be kept alive somehow. It's a Transcendence now from Iris thrown in, but Master He gets hit with the pulse bomb there, and Pelican doesn't look like he's in a safe spot to intervene. Iris and Master are both down now, and the Fuel have gotten the support out of the equation. Now to deal with Gator, and they'll have a crack at finishing this map, but it will go awfully close.
They're going to have a shot to finish it. 30 seconds on the clock. You have the Primal, and you're going to end up getting this EMP back right at the final second. Moss is going to have the rally.
Pelican tried to go for a manual hack there. It didn't connect. Doha had to get out, though.
A manual hack on Hanbin.
Doha has an EMP. In we go. It catches on to 5 people. That might be just the ticket, but Dallas has split their attention. There's no one target. They're focusing down. They get rid of Virus, and that is crucial.
They kill Fielder.
He's gone. That's the lion's share of the healing for the Dallas Fuel now out of the equation. There's a minefield on the card, and Doha can't get close. He's going to be run down. He can't escape. Sparkle's there with a pulse bomb, but it doesn't look like there's a connection to Pelican. He flicks the lights out. Gator takes down Doha, and as Jex are running into the minefield, the Dallas Fuel are brought to their knees in these final moments. Fielder trying to stay alive. It's a boot kill. Sparkle's there to find one of his own as well, but there's nobody left. It's going to be Fielder again, trying to slurp on the card as Fearless steps up, but he's hacked on the way there. A pulse bomb will end his life, and it's just Doha all on his own to try and keep the dream alive with the Atlanta Reign. They're going to do this. Doha falls, and the Kings have been slain. A new king reigns in the West.
Atlanta with a run back through losers. They lose to Chengdu early on in winter bracket, and they make the run all the way where they will play against the Shanghai Dragons. And it kind of played out a little bit like we were thinking. They did a nice job burning enough clock, Atlanta, to get in this type of situation. And in this type of situation, over time, when your spawn is right there and they're like kind of dwindling on ultimates, like you're going to be able to do like stuff like switch to the Moira coming out of the spawn and other types of things to just keep this going to eventually thinking you're going to come out on top. And Dallas, obviously a very disappointing loss with how they played this season, but they're just a tremendous year all around from the Dallas Fuel and their players. They'll definitely be back in this position.
An incredible season, a very decorated team, but they're missing the most important part of the silverware bound for their cabinet. They will not be representing the West in the final. They fall tantalizingly short, and their faces tell the whole story. Devastation for this team at Dallas. Listen, at the very end, they did not look comfortable. If we're looking for the best team in the West to represent that region in the final, it's not this team today.
We are going to get a large clash of styles in this final. That is going to be very, very interesting to see.
The Atlanta Reign, they have done it, and their player of the match here in this lower final presented by Xfinity is going to be going to Iris. It's the Baptiste that's incredible. It is truly criminal that this guy isn't decorated as a role star. What a series from him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I voted for Iris as a role star this year. I thought he was tremendous. One of the best Baptiste that we have
just
in the
blame
league.
Sideshow, it's fine.
Yeah, we can just blame Josh. But man, he was tremendous in this series. And I think now you start to see him flex over to the Zen when they play some of these Wrecking Ball different compositions that they pull out. And you really start to see how good he is at the flex support role at time and time again, keeping them alive. Yeah, I mean, he's just an offensive powerhouse, right? When he's on the Baptiste, when he's on the Zen, able to pump out so much damage. He always seems to be in the right position. You're never really talking about Atlanta really burning some of these flex support ults. Really, rock solid on this role.
Yeah, astonishing stuff. Again, sort of really dominating those defensive assists, but we know how aggressive this player is. Over 10k healing per 10 and still being able to be such a offensive threat on the Baptiste. Really incredible stuff. This has been a long day for the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you talk, I watch a ton of fighting where they talk, styles make fights, where I kind of think that's where we're headed towards with this grand finals, where I think Atlanta's proven now that they can do what they do against some of the best teams in the world, the best teams in the world, and come out on top. And Shanghai, they definitely believe they can play what they have played throughout the entire season and get these wins. Somebody's going to be wrong in a big way, and we'll find out. But man, it's tough to doubt Atlanta at this point with how much they have proved that they are able to run some of these compositions against these teams.
This epic battle of Atlanta Reign versus the world is almost at its conclusion. One more foe stands in their way, the imperious Shanghai Dragons in our 2021 Grand Final. But before we start getting excited about what's to come, let's hear from Gator about what was an incredible match between the Reign and the Dallas Fuel. The Reign advance. We'll come back after the break. We'll get some words from the victors.
Oh, nice. It should be it. Focus. Focus. Nice. Let's go.
Finals,
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.